Oh, Elden Ring. RE2 Remake is garbage, and here's why. All right, let's see if we agree. That was crazy, Sputters. No, you didn't miss it, BK. I was watching a different video. Sorry. God, having my noise gate off is cringe.
What makes a good remake is a hard question to answer. When does something need a remake?
All right. I'm ready. How to farm clicks, badmouth a popular game. How to really farm clicks? React to a video badmouthing a popular game that you love. All right. No, people have been asking me to watch this video for a little bit. Okay. Hi, YouTube. We are watching the RE2 Remake is garbage, and here's why video.
What makes a good remake is a hard question to answer. When does something need a remake? Does it ever? What does a remake being so much more accessible?
Yes. Yes. Parasite Eve needs a remake. Dino Crisis needs a remake. Resident Evil Outbreak needs to make a comeback. Guys, what else? What else?
Due to the source material. And if it fundamentally misrepresents that source material, why even bother calling it a remake? Where does the line draw between changing
Code
too
Veronica
much and changing too little? When is something a remake, a reimagining, or something else entirely?
True. I wish everyone knew the answer to this question. It actually pisses. This is something I wake up every morning and I think to myself, God damn, I wish
32,000 tattoos cheered X 100.
Thank you, tattoos. I wish people knew what the hell the difference between a remake, a remaster, a reimagining was, because the Game Awards is a really good example of this, and how your average human doesn't understand this concept of how so many people online were like, why is RE4 Remake nominated for Game of the Year? It's a remake. Those same people, most of them, I guarantee you, look at RE4 Remake the same way they might look at like Super Mario RPG Remaster or Dead Space Remake or the Spyro Remaster or Demon's Souls. All those games I just named are nothing like RE4 Remake. RE4 Remake from the ground up is a fucking brand new game, all new graphics, all new voice actor, all new sound, all new everything, new areas, completely changed areas, altered story. It has everything new. And then Dead Space like slightly alters stuff. Mario RPG changes almost nothing, adds a little couple new things at the end of the game. Like, it's these things that people do not understand, and it pisses me right off because they run rampant on the internet with their shit opinions, and it's so annoying.
Well, I don't want to talk about that.
I do.
That seems hard.
I
want
do.
to rant about a game I hate. I want to talk about a bad remake. I want to talk about Resident Evil 2 2019.
Those are fighting words.
When this remake came out, everyone called it a masterpiece, and that's still the general opinion on it.
Thank you, Rotten
so
and
much
Fox,
that for every
and
Steam
D for
review of
Dummy.
Resident Evil 3 Remake, you can find praise for RE.
Definitely a downgrade for RE2 Remake. True. Not really that bad. Maybe just my expectations set too high after the experience of RE2 Remake. Compared to not only Resident Evil 3 original, but also Resident Evil 2 Remake, those two are titan-sized shoes to fill, so don't be so hard on it. Well, the problem with RE3 Remake was...
2s. I remember speedrunners of the original game playing through this remake for the first time and saying, how could they have done better than this?
Okay, I never said that, but maybe don't go back and search my videos. I may have said that. They could have definitely done better, but I'm sure we'll be diving into that later. I've mentioned many times they could have done far better.
The only person disappointed in this remake. Was I too biased for the original when I played it? Was I being unfair in my expectations of a remake? Well, with over a year's distance from first playing Remake, I decided to give it a second chance. And I gotta be honest, I fucking hate this game.
Shit.
Although I do believe the game is garbage, it isn't without its redeeming qualities, and there are indications that the dev team not only cared about the original.
Listen, I'm not against this opinion, by the way. Hey, I'm here to learn and listen. Maybe by the end of this video, I'll think RE2 Remake's garbage. Thank you, Abdu. I need to hear that again, though.
I decided to give it a second chance. And I gotta be honest, I fucking hate this game. Although I do believe the game is garbage, it isn't without its redeeming qualities.
I love hearing this with RE2 Remake. I think the game is garbage. It's almost like satire, but I know it's not. But I'm not making fun of the creator, by the way. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It just sounds so funny.
Although I do believe the game is garbage, it isn't without its redeeming qualities, and there are indications that the dev team not only cared about the original game, but the audience that would as well. But the removal of so much story, the deliberate changes made to...
I like how the whole time she's talking about that, she's showing the knifing G2, like or G in the speedrun.
Characters and dialogue, the lack of consideration to what was kept and how it relied on what was cut, and the destruction of the main point of the game, as well as the Resident Evil series as a whole, makes it impossible for me to enjoy this game as a fan of the original. And how I think these changes not only make for a poor remake, but for a poor story in general.
Holy shit, I thought she had the nude mod on there. Jesus.
But before we can talk about why Remake is bad, we should talk about why it's good.
Okay.
Remake's development team took its reference from the original game, as well as that game's concept art. This is genius, and the Raccoon City Police Station shows why. It's clear there was a lot of consideration in how to make the space work in an actual physical sense, while also keeping the original layout intact. This addition of a central staircase and giving access to the second floor are great changes. The details and
those are awesome. I love what they did with the RPD station in general. I think they absolutely fucking nailed that section of the game.
Indications that people spent their time here, and the little Easter eggs on the walls. I love how there's just building materials everywhere because the RPD is constantly under construction. I love that they kept the dumb staircase at the back. I like the way the puzzles were adapted to have different solutions, but the materials stayed the same. They even made the bookcases in the library make sense. This is great. Credit where it's due, and I don't think the RPD could have been done any better.
I hope this segment's like 5 minutes long. Oh, there's no labels to how long it is, but...
Although I do miss the stained glass windows in the main hall, and Claire and Leon having different puzzle items. And having a secret elevator to the sewers be located in the middle of the main hall is a little... I mean, how is anyone supposed to use this?
Yeah, having separate key items... I mean, I don't want to dive into this too much because I'm sure she'll cover it in the hating part of the game. Or the hating part of the video. But yeah, I think the most... Just before we dive down, the most unfortunate part of RE2 Remake is just the B scenarios. And I mention this all the time, like Claire and Leon having the same key items, yada yada, despite like a couple differences. But what they should have done is not only change the B scenarios completely, they could have had fucking C scenarios, for the love of God, or a C scenario, or at least a single canon scenario. But they should have made it so either the B scenarios are way different than the A scenarios, or like in the B scenario, Claire meets Ada and Leon meets Sherry, and they go through those separate paths. It's like they completely swap roles. But in reality, with the remake specifically, every scenario is almost the exact same.
The behavior of zombies in this remake is some of the best I've ever seen. I remember watching Crobcat's 300 IQ experiment.
Crobcat? That's the guy who made the RE4 video we just watched.
In Resident Evil 2 video when the demo came out and was blown away. Zombies don't walk around.
He made that video? I gotta go through what he's actually done.
They fall on top of them. They trip over things on the ground, and even when you blow off parts of their body, they still try to bite you. You can shoot them to a ragdoll, but they're never guaranteed to be dead unless you destroy their brain. It's just so good. They are a lot of the necromorphs in Dead
You can
Space,
tell if they're dead,
you can't actually kill them, and the lore reason for cutting off their limbs is to remove their ability of coming after you.
Jesus!
Now remember, this YouTuber fucking hates this game and thinks it's garbage.
The one thing the zombies in RE2 have over the remake is how sometimes when you push them off, Their arms will stay attached to you for
I
a
do
bit.
like that.
Or when you're grabbed by zombies on the ground, your character will kick their head off.
I miss that.
One thing I hate about the zombies in Remake is how slow the animations of being bitten are.
Okay, listen, I can vibe with that so much, because in the speed run, dude, when you are grabbed by a single zombie, it is horrible. You lose so much time in the Remake. In the OG, it's like a second.
In order to make time for the player to use a safety weapon, the animation has to be drawn out. But if you don't have one, it seems to take 1,000 years. And the fuckers on the ground who you can't even use a safety weapon on, and you just have to watch as they pull up your body.
Fuckers on the ground.
You can do about it. Remake kept a lot of the jump scares from the original, sometimes where they originally appeared or in a switched scenario.
Yeah.
They even kept some of Mr. X's original jump scares, though they can be hard to trigger.
That one is hard. I don't even know how to trigger that one. Like, I feel like it's so random. Thank you, Faro. It's definitely not Fari. Thank you so much. It's not random, but like there's a very specific way to trigger this, or maybe it is random. But yeah, I'm glad they honored a lot of the OG. Like, man, I hope we gotta watch an RE3 remake video, because I could go way harder on that. But
seriously, I ran up and down this corridor as Claire for like 30 minutes and he wouldn't do it. I think it may be Leon only.
Same.
Remake is fun.
When I was doing the nightmare scenario, I kept trying to get a shortcut going for that area. You guys have seen the video, I'm sure, or you were here for the live stream, but man, I was going up and down, and I have like 500 hours of the game, and I'm just like, how the fuck? And no one in chat knew either. I'm like, how the hell do you trigger this shit? God.
To play in the same way that most third-person shooters are. The weapons, puzzles, upgrades, and integration of safety weapons like grenades and knives are all solid. I actually really like how the knife works in this game, kind of a balance between the safety daggers in the first game's remake and the standard knife. If static cameras and tank controls never make it back to Resident Evil, then I guess this is how it should be done. I guess I should talk about that. Enough time has passed now that I can't really be upset about the third-person shooter thing, especially when I have so many other issues with the game as a remake that this kind of always took a backseat.
Well, I think it should take a backseat because, like, for people that are upset about the remakes not being fixed camera angle, tank control, or having the option to have fixed camera while you play through the game, like, the option is great and all. They had it for RE5 DLC, and as someone that loves fixed camera, they added the option RE5 to change it for that DLC, and I hated it. I did not like the fixed camera. There were some cool angles and stuff, and Chad always tells you to play through it, and they're always sad because when I do play through, I'm just like, I hate this shit. It is nice that the option's there, but it's so much extra work, you'd think. At the same time, though, something that pisses me off is that, like, it's so much extra work, but you see these, like, major things that you think are extra work, and then the game comes out, and a day later, it's, like, modded fully to have that thing that's missing. Where I don't think there's fixed camera angles modded into RE2 Remake or RE3 Remake or whatever, but you guys know what I mean. But yeah, it's just fixed camera has not aged well enough to, unless proven otherwise with an indie game or something, they just don't sell as well as they used to.
Remember when it was announced, I was disappointed, like a lot of people were. And I think there's a lot that could be talked about, whether or not the presence of fixed camera angles.
I think if you were disappointed, you were going in with some strong expectations that, like, you got to go into these things not expecting every single dream you have, in my opinion. Where a lot of people in my chat were like, man, do you think it's going to be fixed camera? And I'm just like, fuck no. Like, absolutely not.
Is so intrinsic to the original game that a remake without them simply isn't worth it. Or maybe it wouldn't be a remake at all. But I think the expectation of a game this big ever having tank controls and static cameras again is just unrealistic.
Yeah.
I love fixed camera angles and would love to see them utilized in horror again, but the return to Resident Evil just doesn't seem possible. Without a doubt, the best part of this remake is Mr. X. Figuring out how he worked was the most fun I had in this game, and hearing his theme and footsteps get louder as he closes in on you is so much fun. His design is intimidating, he punches everything that's in his way, and there's always the question of, he can't come in here, right?
Oh yes, he can. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. You should not have fucking done that!
All of his animations are a lot of fun, or surprisingly scary. Did you know he can jump on your head? This can kill you. This is the one part of the game that I can say was actually made better in the remake, the only thing that was improved and expanded on from the original game, and the dev team knew it too, putting him in a scenario. This is genuinely the saddest part of the game. I hate this part. Ugh, this is miserable. I hate this. Ugh.
I love this. This part is one of my favorites. I fucking love the extra gore and ripping Mr. X in half. Oh my god. Thank you, Crooked. Thank you, thank you. God, look at that scene. It's sickening. I love that shit so much.
Goodbye, King. You were the best part of this game. I will say the way they adapted the
doesn't mean that
smash is
literally,
dumb.
I don't think.
It's scary in the original because you're halfway through the game and haven't seen him for a while. Then if you happen to check this monitor, you see him in the hallway you were just in.
Love that
in Remake,
part.
you see this footage before even meeting X, and he's clearly in the East Hall, but if you run down there, he can't be found. He can't be found anywhere until his spawn up outside the STARS office. But my personal favorite thing in Remake is so small you may have missed it. Some things in RE2 are locked to each scenario. A always fights rejected G, B always fights Birkin. A always kills the alligator, B always fights Mr. X. B rides on top of the train, A hangs on underneath it. A scenario always gets a cutscene in the West Hall to reveal a new enemy type, and the player character always reacts to it. Claire will gasp and say, "Oh my," but Leon...
Oh boy. Oh boy. So bad.
In Remake, the player character will say random bits of profanity while aiming.
You asshole. What the hell is up with you? Oh no.
By the way, there are so many lines that Claire and Leon could say. As a speedrunner, I still hear new lines I've never heard in my life.
Fuck you.
But Leon has a unique line.
Oh boy.
Oh, oh boy.
For how well the RPD was designed, the other areas of the game are lacking. The sewer is fine, as annoying as the rejected GR. The lab, however, I can't say the same for. It may just be a personal pet peeve against the whole clean, white, futuristic setting.
I love
just
what the
hate
lab
way
looks
it
like.
Like, why is it so big? For a secret lab built in the sewer, it sure is roomy.
Oh, it is really stupid. Like, there's no reason it should... I mean, the reason is because they're just trying to expand upon the original, which the original is pretty big as well, but this one really, really blew up
The
this
lab
place.
in the original is mechanical and clunky, and it feels a lot more like a lab making use of the space it's been given than giving space to make a lab. Does that make sense?
That's true.
My favorite part of the labs in Resident Evil are how they're forced to adapt to whatever Umbrella finds them, like a mansion in the woods or a maintenance area in the sewer. This lab doesn't look like it was built in a sewer, it looks like a state-of-the-art facility with more empty space than actual technology. Also, why are there so many entrances? There's at least one...
Yeah, see, I talked about this a couple times when I first played the game, but that doesn't bother me. Like, I don't care if it's super unrealistic. Like, why the hell is there a massive, like, 8 football stadium lobby for this secret lab?
in the RPD, one in the orphanage, and one in the city. For a secret lab, it's very accessible. I will say that once you're inside the lab, I like it fine. This living area and lab especially, but traversing these huge catwalks, I just don't get why everything's so far away from each other. Oh, and fuck this shit. This lab where no work has ever been done. Are you kidding me with this use of space? There's like 2 shitty tables and no equipment but a microscope. And why do you go through decontamination just to go on another catwalk? Why would it be designed like this? And this is the only decon room, implying that this room is the main lab. There's no equipment here. RE2 shows 7 different stages of Birkin's transformation. In fact, a lot of the time when you see him, he looks different from the last time you met, and then transforms further. It really felt like he was changing even when you weren't looking at him. I still think the transformations in this game look good, honestly. It really looks like something is splitting him open. Something you know the G-Virus to do.
Especially the Ben one, man. That missing from the remake really made me sad. I think the Chief Irons kill is very fucking low quality compared to this, or what it could have been. I love this part of RE2 OG. And the transformations are amazing.
And you watch it grow.
No, this is Dark Sphere Hunter.
Until nothing recognizable of Birkin remains. Remake's Birkin has 5 stages of transformation, and at least to me, the G-Virus looks a lot more like something that's growing on him than something coming out of him. And they never really show any of the transformations, and when they do, it's shown way too close to even see anything, or during a fight.
I love this one because it's almost like sexual in a way. Like, this is hard to explain, but like G penetrating the other infected tyrant with his huge claw, and then emerging a fucking like phallic new head. Just it's like a dark
show any of the transformations.
Oh God!
And
like
when they do,
you guys understand. Look at it.
And they never really show any of the
It's
transformations.
erotic, yeah.
And when they do, it's shown way too close to even see anything.
He's like he's absorbing so much extra virus from Mr. X that he's getting a virus boner. Does that make sense?
Way too close to even see anything, or during a fight, so you never really get a good look at it anyway. The designs aren't bad. They're honestly the one thing that I hated less when looking at this game again. I just miss really seeing Birkin be pushed aside by this thing.
This is a really cool transformation.
Feeling of consumption that the original had.
I think both are fantastic. It's just like they're different.
I felt like you were being followed by this thing and got to see every little change it went through. Birkin was chasing you, and you never knew when he would catch up. In Remake, it just kind of feels like you're being given a bigger monster to fight. Birkin doesn't really exist until you need to fight him and drop down into his boss pit. The other part to this was that in RE2, I always felt like I was fighting Birkin, but does anyone even think of Birkin at this point in the game? Is it anything but a big monster to shoot? And why does it look like Ripley's alien baby?
Hey, I mentioned that.
The second fight is easily the worst in the game, with this inclusion of environmental attack. But maybe that's just a personal opinion.
Well, see, okay, you could rag on the boss fights in the remake all you want. Yeah, and this fight is sort of shit sometimes. But at the same time, like, the RE2 original boss fights are fucking garbage. You literally just put on either the Magnum or the grenade launcher. And if you're at full health, you hold in aim and you hold in shoot. And that works for every single boss in the entire fucking game except for Dog Birkin.
Unlike the rest of this video, which is objective fact. All that said, what the fuck is up with Mr. X's final form? In RE2, X falls into a... what is that? Like a vat of molten metal? He falls into some hot red stuff and emerges with his outer skin burned away, evolving into a super tyrant not unlike the ones from the first game or RE0. But in Remake... ugh. God, he looks like Brock Lesnar.
What? Brock Lesnar. What is with the FPS? Every time she shows RE2 Remake, the FPS is at like 10.
Lesnar with a big arm. He looks like shitty Kratos. Why'd he get so wide? Is his jacket tied around his waist? He looks like that Kylo Ren meme.
Is his jacket tied around his waist?
Jacket tied around his waist?
That's a good question. I don't know what is with that. But I agree to a degree. I think the design for OG Tyrant, like I do see, I like everything getting burnt off, and in this one, like the design I think is worse in Remake, but I think the boss fight is far better. As I said, I'm gonna side with the boss fights for every single one with RE2 Remake because they are better.
It looks like that Kylo Ren meme. I think what makes this design more disappointing than it otherwise might be is that he looked so good before. He was so effortlessly scary, but here he just looks like those guys who inject oil into their biceps. He's gotten so wide, it's silly looking. The fucking live action trailer. Oh my god, not a part of the game, but I'm talking about it anyway. They only made it because the original game had one, and yeah, it's awesome. It was made
This is the George A. Romero one.
George fucking Romero. It's fast and fun, and it gets me pumped up every
so
time
sick.
I watch it.
I love this
It's
one.
amazing. Not whatever the fuck this shit is.
I don't
This
even know if
lazy
I've seen
one-take
this.
piece of garbage. The gate bangs open behind him. It's like, should we do a second take, boss? No? I'll just keep going then. Look at this stupid ass pose they do at the end. Why are they looking at me like that? God, it's just so shit. And has nearly 1 million views.
I think they're trying to be cheesy just like the original one, but you know, I don't even know if I've watched that.
What the fuck? To gain access to the other costumes in RE2, you had to make it to the police station without picking anything up. Brad Vickers, known as that asshole who left you in RE1 and that asshole who dies in RE3, will appear as a zombie in the underpass to the RPD. If you kill him, he drops a key which opens this locker and gives you access to a costume or two, a bonus weapon for Claire, and a faster fire rate for Leon. By the way, where are these costumes, Capcom? I can't have cowboy, biker, Claire.
That royally pisses me off. Thank you, that white guy. There should be no excuse for a company that, like, God, it's so annoying that costumes go a long way and these companies don't understand this at all. Where, like, they'll release the game and the community will be like, instantly, the community will be like, where is this costume that was in the OG? Or where is this? Or where is that? And modders unpaid modders sitting in their fucking mom's basement will make that costume in a fucking night, and it looks amazing. And you were telling me a fucking multi-million-dollar company can't just put on one employee on that job for one fucking day and release it for like $5? No, don't say that's why. The reason why is incompetence. Like, they just don't understand. Like, Capcom will just sit there shilling out like the fucking $20 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles costumes in Street Fighter. Release the goddamn costumes to Resident Evil. Charge nothing. Make them unlockable. That's best case scenario. Charge a fucking $1. Charge $5. People will buy that shit. The thing that annoys me, like, I don't want it to go down that road, but the thing that annoys me is they don't even go down that road. They don't even attempt to go down any road. They're just like, we could make a ton of money off this. We could make a ton of fans happy off this. Either way, charge money for it. You make yourself happy. You make the fans angry, but sort of happy. Or don't do it at all and you make everyone angry. Like, it's such a lose-lose situation where they don't take advantage of these costumes. It pisses me off so much. It's like, why? Like, there's no reason. Like, I just don't get it. The companies are in it to make money. Why not make the fucking money?
But you can give me whatever the fuck this is. Anyway,
yeah, I hate that fucking costume.
Bonus weapon does make it into Remake, but only in B scenario, and it's clearly a last-minute reference. And though I like the idea...
I fucking hate that... Like, oh my god, the costume shit pisses me off so much. Like, it's so easy. I miss when Capcom used to love cross-promotion. The Regina skin in RE3 is my favorite skin in Resident Evil. Throw, like, the modded Dante skin in RE3 Remake for Carlos is fucking incredible. Like, give us that cross-promotion. You promote your other games. You're just stealing an asset from them, and you're charging players money for it. Like I said, I'd rather not charge money, but at least give the option. And hey, if they release a Dante skin for RE3 Remake and it's $10, I'll download the mod instead. But at least it shows the company gives a fuck about you. God damn.
Yeah, it's a pretty clumsy execution. The weapons take a special
I seen that, Siren. Thank you so much for the 40. The new ammo sucks ass. Thank you, Siren, so much. I really appreciate it. I know it's bullshit. Thank you, JDM, and thank you, that white guy. The new ammo sort of sucks because you can't get you can't switch between the two weapons.
Dropped in the game. However, the only kind of ammo you can mix is for the regular handgun, making you switch back and forth to use what ammo you have.
It's done badly. The B scenarios in general are done badly, but she's gonna rip on. I assume most of this video is gonna be ripping on the B scenarios.
Kind of clumsy. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of using real people's faces in games, as they tend
to... The Leon... This is like the one specific cutscene where Leon looks like a chode muncher. Like, like, definitely picked the right footage for this conversation.
Kind of pasted on. And if the actor is recognizable...
Okay, and by the way, it's not very... Like, Claire looks like she has 8 sets of lips here. Like, whoever made this video has the graphics... She's playing on, like, a fucking PS3.
Well enough, I can't even see them as the character. Like, that's just Norman Reedus. But I'm not going to rag on the faces too much. They're fine. Although Claire does look like she was stung by a bunch of bees sometimes. Like, the only person in this game with more Botox is Leon. But that's not unlike the original. And the animations can look a little... Call that a Mass Effect Andromeda smile. Call that a trip to the dentist. Speaking of Leon, there's really not much to say. His redesign is virtually just his original outfit, but adapted to make more sense realistically. Instead of shoulder pads, it's a bulletproof vest. That kind of thing. Looks good. They even kept the elbow pads. Annette, Marvin, and Irons all look good. Sherry also looks great. Love the messy hair. Kids have messy hair. Cute. Good detail. When you look at Claire's original design, there are 3 main components. Pink, embroidered jacket, and a short-sleeved black turtleneck.
Like, here's another thing with the costumes. Why not add the fucking actual OG costume for Claire? I really didn't understand that. Like, why did they have to change it? Like, add both of them. Like, oh my god, it takes employees like hey, Tony, can you add the fucking the boxer briefs to Claire and just make it an alteration of that one costume? Sure, I'll have it done by lunch. Like, god damn, dude.
Remake didn't include any of these things. And what's worse is that the design is
Wait, what did you say?
There are 3 main components. Pink, embroidered jacket, and a short-sleeved black turtleneck. Remake didn't include any of these things. And what's worse is that the design is boring. So they didn't include anything from the original character, and they didn't even bother to make it interesting. She doesn't look like a 19-year-old biker from the 90s. She looks like someone who works with your mom. You know, like she'd work for a humanitarian group or... Oh. That,
Yeah, they could do worse.
Game, guys. That's the wrong game. That's the wrong. Claire in RE2 is iconic. It's instantly recognizable, like Heather from Silent Hill 3 or even Aya from Parasite Eve.
That's true, yeah.
This kind of just makes her look like a background character. It's funny too.
I don't
because
think
they
it's
added
that
this
bad,
opening
but...
shot on the embroidery of her jacket, but because it's so faint, you can't even see it, and it's just zoomed in on her back for no reason. In the original,
I do think the costume designs being toned down a lot are a slight issue for the remakes, and like just every one of the games, or the like 7, 8, 9 Village or 7, 8 Village, yada yada yada. The only one I think is actually like really good is that comes to mind instantly is Ada's, because like that combination of like those long leather boots, you could see the little black for the pantyhose or whatever she's wearing, and then the long like sweater, I don't even know what the hell you'd call it, like sweater dress, like that is memorable. I really like that design. It's really, really cool. But yeah, for the most part, the you can't see the design on the back of Claire's outfit. Yeah, it's none of this stuff like overly bothers me, but yeah, it's
game, Ada
it's
was
something.
already in Raccoon when the outbreak happened, and the dress is just what
And
she
the thing is, like I said before, this is a multi-million-dollar company. Everything should be like top notch. So
to be wearing when everything went to hell. Remake made the change that Ada came to Raccoon after the outbreak happened to get the G virus. So this is her zombie fighting outfit of choice. The addition of heels is especially funny because in the remake, Ada already knows the lab is in the sewer. So this is the outfit she chose to wear while running around a sewer full of zombies. Also, her wearing sunglasses inside at night looks really stupid.
she's trying to be cool like Wesker.
There's concept art of them playing around with the idea.
Oh wow, that basically the last line, this one looks like they took inspiration from these two for RE4 remake. Oh my god, look at Annette. I hate you, Annette. I wish you weren't in the randomizers.
Of combining the trench coat with the red dress, and well, we could have had it all, folks. A lot of these designs would have been better, honestly. Look how cool some of them are. They turned her tights into huge boots. Like, that's a really cool idea. This concept art actually reveals something about the design process and why I think Claire looks so bad. You can see they included Ada's RE6 outfit in their adaptation ideas, so them thinking about Claire in Revelations 2 looks less like a joke and more like a real possibility. I feel like this is confirmed by Leon's looking the best because he doesn't have a modern RPD uniform to influence his redesign. I think this was a pretty bad idea when they ended up not using for Ada.
Honestly, now that I think about it, I never use Claire's like actual costume for RE2 remake. It is pretty bad, but like I said, it doesn't really bother me too much. Thank you, Zoik, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know we're not watching Ascension. I'm just sick today, so I'm just gonna do some React
remember when
content.
Claire had cool jackets? I miss that.
I missed that too.
There are unlockable classic costumes in the game, but strangely, they aren't actually the classic costumes. They're inspired by the classic costumes, but presumably the redesigns were as well. Leon's is the most accurate, despite him already being the most similar. Claire's is missing several key components. Sherry's is fine, it's just not a classic costume. And Otter still...
I don't know why they do
even
that.
Get one.
And yeah, as well, like I really don't understand why they do that. In RE4 remake with Separate Ways, how they added a costume, they added one for, or they added in Separate Ways you could dress up Wesker and Ada. I think that's really cool. They need more of that shit. Like I would have loved an RE3 remake or RE2 remake. Again, this is something that would sell so much, and they just don't do it. Classic looks for zombies, classic looks for Nemesis, classic look for Mr. X. Like some small things that take like a couple employees, and don't give me that fucking shit about, you're not a game dev, that takes a lot of time. Dude, maybe it takes a piece of shit, like someone that's bad at their job a lot of time, but the fact that modders do this, unpaid modders do this, that could possibly not even train to do this very well, do it in like a fucking day. You can't tell me that these multi-million-dollar companies can't get a team of 10 people to get on it and make a massive profit from it. So comparing multi-million-dollar company employees, which should be the top of the fucking line, to some dude in his mom's basement making a mod that's unpaid entirely.
I just use the classic 98 skin anyway.
I hate that.
I hate when games have openings you need to get through before you're allowed to actually play the game.
Because the hitbox is so
has
wonky.
3 of these. First,
whoa,
you need
what'd
to
she say?
before you're allowed to actually play anyway.
Thank
I hate
you,
when
Willa.
games have openings you need to get through before you're allowed to actually play the game, and Remake has 3 of these. First, you need to get through the gas station, then you need to get through the East Hall, then you need to meet the other character, and only then can you begin to really play the game. This is why B scenario is better. It just cuts.
That is a big reason why RE3 Remake isn't a very well-received game, because RE3 Remake is absolutely filled with a fuck ton of these. It is basically the entire game is this kind of thing. What she's trying to explain is like you have to go a certain way, and you have to go a certain way a bunch of times in a row, and then you can sort of explore, and then you have to go a certain way, you know, until you get to play the game. Like you feel like you're on rails.
You also don't
almost.
have to interact with Marvin.
I don't think it's, after playing RE3 Remake, like you look back on this very fondly, because 3 Remake takes us to the next fucking level.
Scenario. Making Marvin a bit more of a character isn't a horrible idea in and of itself, but having a character you need to answer to in a survival horror game fucking sucks. I love the feeling of exploring.
I think they should have expanded on Marvin even more. I think that's one of the biggest problems with RE3 Remake. I also think that's one of the biggest problems with Welcome to Raccoon City, the movie, is Marvin is that one element that he needs to talk with Chief Irons, and he needs to also communicate with the STARS members. So he is that one like dramatic element. He is that one like human character that has to deal with so much emotion of like worshiping his boss, who I'm sure we don't even know because we don't know enough about Marvin. I'm sure he knows that Irons is corrupt and the STARS members aren't corrupt, and like finding the contrast between those two groups of people all coming back to Marvin would have been amazing to see with RE3 Remake. If Jill arrived at the RPD station while shit was going, like during all the shit that was going down, like there were still police officers alive, Marvin was in a panic, Irons knew exactly what was going on, trying to get out of the police station, whatever else, trying to save his own ass and make as much money as possible on his way out. Like that is the kind of thing we need to see with RE3 Remake, and I think Marvin should have been expanded more in RE2. I think he was fine in RE2 Remake, but if they added more Marvin in 2 and way more in 3, it would have made those games and that movie way fucking better.
In these games, and having someone you need to report to and who tells you what you need to do is just so antithetical to the theme of horror.
Ray, first 5 minutes of RE3 Remake, there's like 27 cutscenes you skip. I know, dude. It's so it's too much.
At least to me, anyway.
And the 3 originals like the opposite.
You can't access a fresh game, so all the unlocked weapons you have are just clogging your item box forever. It's so dumb that during Birkin's lab fight, the computer lady is literally saying you can't leave the room until you beat the boss. Remake cut out a lot of the story, including the funniest scene in the game.
Stay back! Don't come any closer! Stay back!
I agree. This should not have been cut, man. This is a classic scene. The helicopter just randomly smashing into the RPD when you walk past a certain threshold is just stupid. This should have been in the game 100%. Like, I fully agree. At least in one of the scenarios. And that's where the big scenario thing comes into play. They could have put it in one of the scenarios. Like, at least like Leon looking at a window and seeing it happen, or activating the cutscene once he looks at the window. It should have had that. Or RE3 Remake should have had this.
I wish Remake had any of the fun death animations, or included the "this item is useless, discard" message. I also would have loved to see the end game portraits return.
Love that shit. The result screens are big for me. Result screen music is god tier in most of these old horror games. Silent Hill 1, 2, 4, 3, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2 specifically, 4 as well, or Code Veronica, not 4. And 4 has a good one too. Results music and the results screen means so much to me. I love that shit so much. And when it's missing, remember when I beat Village and I was sitting there staring at the script just like, the fuck is this? Like, I hated that. But Village was like, here's your time. Like, fucking give me something. Like, dude, I hate this shit.
Leon's party hats, or literally any of the iconic lines.
God.
Resident Evil 2 is a unique experience that offers 2 different stories told 4 different ways, all depending on which side of a car a person's on after a crash. Sometimes Sherry gets infected, sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes Ada has the G virus from the middle of the game. Sometimes she has to take it by force. Sometimes Annette gets to say goodbye to her daughter, and sometimes she never sees her at all. This is where RE2 Remake falls really flat. This is a large part of what makes RE2 so special and interesting. Remake's production of this, of having only one story and 2 perspectives, I don't agree with. I think it misses a large part of what was so great about RE2, and although I disagree with this change, I do at least understand why they'd make it.
Well, I understand why they'd make it, but I don't understand why it's no ending is canon. It can't be. Like, you can't have a canon scenario unless you're telling me that once Claire goes through and beats G1 and he falls down into the abyss, he climbs back up, gets his fucking toolkit and his nails out, his soldering gun, and fixes everything before Leon gets there and fights him. Like, come on.
What I don't understand is why they didn't make a cohesive story. Instead of choosing one of the existing paths in the game, they tried to merge all of them. And although it might be possible to do this successfully, Remake does not.
No, it doesn't.
There are loopholes, continuity errors, and inconsistent character choices that wouldn't exist if they just kept to one of the original stories. Like Annette dying in two different places, or how completely fucked Leon and Ada's story is by trying to merge the two scenarios. How there's no way both Claire and Leon are interacting with these areas at the same time. In Remake, you arrive immediately at the station, and after being there for 5 minutes, meet the other character. The first thing B scenario does is go to the main hall, so Marvin already being a zombie doesn't work with the first scenario. Remake also made the change that there's only one puzzle in the station and that it's located in the main hall. This is a bad idea if I'm supposed to believe that Leon and Claire never run into each other. In the original game, Leon and Claire's puzzles are on opposite sides of the station, so it's more believable that they aren't running into each other. There are a few indications in the game that scenario swapping wasn't even an original intention. Take for instance the continuity error in the garage. In Leon A, he encounters dogs in the parking lot.
Well, I'm pretty sure that they brought up, I don't know about the actual like double A scenario, like Claire A, Leon A, but up until very close to the release, a lot of people speculated, and there was a lot of rumors that Capcom didn't even plan on doing B scenarios. So,
garage kennels. He then turns the power on, letting them out. Later, in Claire B, we see that the dogs are dead, and in their place are lickers feeding on their corpses. Thing is, this isn't scenario locked, so if you play Claire A and Leon B, the lickers and blood will disappear and become dogs. In the original game, both Leon and Claire will fight Birkin on the tram, but whoever's in B's scenario will see Birkin at a later stage of transformation, because it's taking place later in the game. In RE2, each scenario has different bosses in different areas, and the only fight that's repeated is with Birkin on the tram. B's scenario gets access to an entire different section of the lab and is in charge of getting the train up and running. There are no Leon or Claire exclusive areas, made in an effort to differentiate the game. In B's scenario, Claire needs to visit in an effort to differentiate the game.
Yeah, bye now.
In B's scenario, Claire needs to visit the parking garage, and Leon needs to visit Iron's office. Claire and Leon also had different puzzle solutions in the station. Remake is exhausting to play all 4 scenarios because it's the same game every time. Claire A plays exactly like Claire B. Leon A is exactly like Leon B. And Claire and Leon's games aren't even that different to begin with.
I do think that sucks. Like, I could go on about the B-stars. You guys know what I would say about those anyway. I've already talked a bit about them. Yeah, Dark. But, like, the thing is about the B scenarios weren't supposed to be there. That's on Capcom. That's a bad... If you're going to remake a game, I think that you should be ready to make it better than it already is. My philosophy on remaking a game is that you should try to improve every single aspect and keep the best aspects as good or better. And none of the Resident Evil remakes did that. I mean, RE4 is probably the closest, but 2 and 3, God no. 2, like, you know, the B stars are lackluster where they should be way better than the original. They're almost non-existent. So you shouldn't even take on the project if you're not going to do it justice. But again, I think RE2 Remake is amazing. So it's not really a big deal. I'm just throwing it out there like a hypothetical. Let's say I did hate the game, you know. Thank you, Aggro Kirby.
Here's another thing. Sherry's necklace has no reason to exist. In the original, it was a way for Ada to get the G-Virus, or it was a way for Claire to save Sherry and kill Mr. X. In the remake, it serves no purpose but to open a locked cabinet that for Leon isn't locked anyway. This is such a great example of how much of the original story was lost, and the remnants left behind sure look like RE2, but their purpose has been entirely cut away. The writing in this game is awful, and it's evident right away. In a game that cut out an entire scenario and rushed the few scenes it did keep,
of course it's showing this scene.
Over 2 minutes of watching a man eat a burger. It's such a weird tone setter. It's slow and off-putting and not relevant to anything.
Hey, I love this scene.
All this build-up just to establish that there was a truck driver that got bit by a zombie. You know how the original did it?
Guy's a maniac. Why'd he bite me?
Quick, concise, we get all the information we need, and we don't need to see how much mustard he can get in his beard. Then we finally begin the game.
Well, I think it does a good job of, like, you know, you listen to the radio broadcast and the story being told. I like the intro to RE2 Remake. I think they did it fine. But, you know, that's a classic. Why'd he bite me? Yeah, it's quick and to the point, sure. It's not really quick and to the point, though, because, like, the intro is sort of drawn out a little bit when Leon's staggering to the freaking gas station or the whatever the hell it is.
All the information we need, and we don't need to see how much mustard he can get in his beard. Then we finally begin the game.
But the intro here, this was to show off the RE engine. This was to show off the graphics. Like, and like the burger, a lot of people say the burger looks like shit. I think the burger, I want to bite that burger right now. Now the lettuce at the bottom sort of looks a little rotten, but like, guys, I want to bite that fucking burger. I am starving for that burger right now. I might even just get a burger at the, like, right now. I might just order one. Thank you, King. I think that looks amazing. Like, we all know it's not, he's eating it. It's not rotten. Like, it is what it is. It's not a moldy burger. But what they're doing here is they're just showing off the graphics. Like, sure, the burger, like,
that there was a truck driver.
Look at his face though, and he licks his lips. Like, look at his mouth and his lip, like his tongue. Sorry, like that's what they're doing with that intro. They're like, look at these fucking. They're flexing the fucking RE engine. They're flexing the graphics.
He bite me.
Now, sure, it looks like a moldy rotten burger, but everything else looks amazing.
Quick, concise. We get all the information we need, and we don't need to see how much mustard he can get in his beard. Then we finally begin the game with Claire on a payphone reassuring a friend she arrived safe. And
Why does everyone think I'm gonna get in trouble?
Because haha. She enters the store and comes across a man bleeding from the neck. Instead of turning around and going back to the established payphone to call an ambulance, she says,
Wait here. I'll check it out.
Check what out, Claire? A man is dying. Claire? Claire? Claire.
Yeah.
Then they meet. Leon is annoying.
You can thank me later when we're safe.
Then they get into a cop car and
He's
drive
annoying.
away. Because that's what happened in the original.
I am hungry, Landa.
Problem is, the entire reason that Leon and
also
Claire
sick
get
as
into a
shit.
random cop car that just happens to have the keys in it is as a means to get Claire, a college student, a gun. In Remake, Claire starts the game with a gun. This is fine, I guess, but they still get in a random cop car when Leon's Jeep is right there. Like, why would you take that chance? Leon and Claire's first real conversation happens on the drive to the RPD. In RE2, Claire that chance. But they still get in a random cop car when Leon's Jeep is right there. Like, why would
I think taking the cop car is the smart choice.
you take that chance? Leon and Claire's first real conversation happens on the drive to the RPD. In RE2, Claire sees the cop car and the outfit and sarcastically asks,
You're a cop, right?
in Remake, all Leon says is,
Hopefully they'll have some answers at the police station.
and from that alone, Claire intuits.
Wait, you're a cop?
It may seem like I'm being overly picky here, but it's just early examples of things being changed for no reason while keeping other things the same without realizing why they were happening in the first place. Claire isn't saying you're a cop, right? For no reason. She's making a joke and letting Leon introduce himself to the player. They don't get in a cop car because it looks cool, they do it because there's a reasonable belief one would find a gun inside. The beginning of RE2
That zombie is Leon.
is fast and exciting. We meet our characters, they arrive in town, and then all shit breaks loose and it's a mad dash to safety. Leon speeds through the city and crashes into a pole, and they don't get a moment's rest before a truck comes barreling down the road toward them.
Maniac's gonna ram us.
That guy's a maniac.
The beginning of
But the
Remake
real maniac was the driver.
is so slow. They spend nearly 3 minutes in this car, and not once do they say something worth listening to.
Hey, well, in the remake's defense, because she's talking about multiple playthroughs. The whole video is about playing again. But here's something about the remake. You could skip the fucking cutscenes. In the original, you can only skip the cutscenes of the GameCube version. You can only skip the doors of the PC version. And there's no version where you could skip everything.
Leon is barely crawling along these streets in this car, and apparently they've been driving long enough that Claire's bored against the windowsill. The remake has them meeting outside of town, so who knows how long this drive into the city was. Even when the truck is coming towards them, it's boring.
Holy shit. There, get out.
It's also unclear what's even happening. There's this shot of the police car dripping gas, and then everything explodes. In the original, it's clear that the truck is a gasoline tanker, and that's why everything is on fire.
Sure.
We get to the police station. Marvin gives me a microaggression.
Obviously someone taught you well.
And then Claire randomly pulls out her gun before immediately reholstering it.
A micro. Yeah, hey, it's a micro. He's fucking sexist, dude.
Fire.
Women can't learn it themselves.
We get to the police station. Marvin gives me a microaggression.
Obviously, someone taught you well.
A microaggression. There it is.
And then Claire randomly pulls out her gun before immediately reholstering it. Was this where she was originally supposed to get a gun? Like how Leon gets immediately...
Obviously, someone taught...
Wait, what?
We get to the police station. Marvin gives me a microaggression.
Obviously, someone taught you well.
And then Claire randomly pulls out her gun before immediately reholstering it. Was this where she was originally supposed to get a gun?
Okay.
Like how Leon gets a uniform? She takes out the radio.
Nicky Blokey.
Marvin gives her next, so it feels like she's showing off new gear to the player. I don't have an answer or anything, it's just something I noticed. I feel like there's a lot of elements in this game that look left over from a different script. Also, the security footage is so funny. Why is he just standing at the gate staring at it? What's he doing? Like a dog looking at a baby gate. I haven't paused it, by the way. This is how long it goes on for. And then we get our first real taste of how the dialogue in this game is going to go.
Leon, we really got...
Okay, this cutscene definitely, in just a quick memory jaunt, has probably the lowest dialogue in the game. I might order a burger, guys. After looking at that burger for so long, and I'm sick too.
Stop meeting like this.
I take it you don't have the key.
No, I don't. It's good to see your face, though. How are you holding up?
What?
Hell of a night, huh?
It's so nice to see you.
How are you doing? Copper just came out of nowhere.
How are you doing?
You know, just surviving.
What is going on? Why are you having this conversation about nothing? Why aren't they talking about anything? They're just saying platitudes back to back while smiling like imbeciles. It's so fucking weird. Finally, Leon asks if she's found her brother, a reasonable question.
I hope it's just the original, because the original handles Leon and Claire much better than the remake.
But the helicopter erupts.
But obviously it handles them much better than the remake, because this is like one of the only times they ever talk in the remake. Where the original they meet, I mean, if you count all scenarios combined, they talk quite often.
So they can't continue the conversation now that's actually relevant to something. Claire tells Leon to get going, and they still won't stop saying nothing to each other. Why is he just standing there? Was he so riveted by that boring-ass small talk? And he turns around, like...
We're gonna make it. Both of us.
It's conversations like this that actually make me glad they never talk again for the whole game. In RE2, this conversation happens in the STARS office, or in the adjoining hall. Sometimes Claire has seen Sherry and will ask about her. Both times they talk about her brother and how he's left the city. They then make a plan to find survivors and look for a way out together. Leon gives Claire a radio to keep in touch, and they part ways.
There's no reason for us to stay any longer than necessary. Let's split up, look for any survivors, and get out of here.
Right.
This scene in the original establishes a few things. B character has made it to the police station, the conclusion that the station doesn't offer anything and that they should leave as quickly as possible, the priority of finding a way out of town while also looking for survivors, and establishing a way of communication between Claire and Leon. What does this scene do? It tells us that B character has made it to the station, but you never talk to them again anyway. So, Leon and Claire in Remake only talk one other time at the very end of the game, and that conversation has no point either. During the self-destruct sequence...
I mean, yeah, that all makes sense, but, like, from the human aspect, them having that awkward conversation together, you know, guy talking to a hot chick, a lot of people have been in that situation. Yeah, sometimes you don't know what to say.
Sees Claire on a monitor and calls to tell her that she needs to leave the lab.
Like, in a game sense of, like, you know, talk to the player, what she said about RE2 original, it does make sense, but I don't think it's overly, like, terrible or like, horrible writing or anything. It's just like the sad thing is that that's the only time they talk, and like they just have one awkward conversation. The original, they actually seem like good friends by the end of it, and in the remake they still seem like sort of strangers.
She's already in the process of leaving. That's the whole point of the scene. Great job. There's a theme of pointlessness to every conversation in this game, particularly the opening and ending cutscenes. It's like the developers didn't know there were conversations in the original, so they were just making it up as they went along. Like they thought these characters couldn't possibly have anything to talk about, so they just filled it with air. But they had so much source material, I just don't get it, and it's just so bad to watch. I love this cutscene.
I think if I were to side with that take, it's that it's unfortunate that the B scenarios weren't fleshed out more, because you can have that, and we also could have had the other aspect where it's like they're actually in a panic and trying to get out of the city and talking about what they could do and how they could do it, as opposed to like some awkward like flirty conversation. So it does suck that there wasn't the B scenarios to have those other aspects of their relationship.
Where Claire calls Marvin on the radio to tell him there are zombies everywhere. Like, what do you want him to do about it? Also, this is the last time the radio
How long
was
is the
used,
video?
making
We
that
got
a
an
grand
hour.
total of twice. Like, why even bother? Like, why not let the player explore and find the other character at the gate naturally, instead of being called back to Marvin and watching them stare at the gate like an idiot for several minutes? Leon changing into a police outfit is so fucking stupid. Like, I get why they did it like this, but I'd sooner believe he picked it up early or at another station before arriving. Maybe they shipped it to him, I don't know, you don't have to explain everything. But the fact that in the middle of a zombie outbreak, he decides to switch up his look is so funny. Like, they didn't even wreck his other clothing or anything. Can you imagine what Marvin must be thinking in this scene? Did he
How
ask
fucking hot Leon looks. I mean, I think he should put on an RPM, but just in case he finds survivors, they know he's like with the police. But at the same, to be devil's advocate, all the police are like zombies at this point, so it might make you just come off as a zombie.
for them? It's so stupid. Why does he change into a cop uniform? Where did they even get it? And in B scenario, it's even funnier because he just sees one and is like, guess I should put this on.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, well, I was supposed to start last week, and I got a call to stay away.
What? This makes no sense because we know Irons was keeping communication out of the city, but did he give Leon a quick courtesy call before cutting the landline? This makes no sense, and they could have just not said anything. In the original game's official guide, the reason why Leon is late is because he broke up with his girlfriend and got drunk to the point of oversleeping for a week. But I guess they thought that was unbecoming of an officer, and so on Twitter, a member of the dev team said he was at home on standby, waiting for his orders. Okay, I'll talk more about this later, but the removal of Leon's backstory will make more sense. He isn't allowed to experience heartbreak and be
Do I not remember notes from RE2 explaining that, or is that mentioned in like some Game Pro magazine or something?
sad over a breakup because that would make him human. Instead, he just sits in his house all day, awaiting orders like a good cop. I hate how every puzzle
It's in
solution
the
is
book?
told to you in
I
this
see.
game. The Notebook, Marvin, Ada, everyone's telling you how to do things. Just let me look around, damn. Oh, here's something stupid. When Leon enters the basement...
Wait, which novel?
Birkin
The
is
SD Perry novels? Because those aren't canon, are they not? Oh, it's in the manual. I see.
running in the vents above him, replacing Sherry from Claire's game.
Oh,
Makes no
you guys
sense
mean
because
book
the
is
whole
in
point of
manual.
Sherry
Oh.
traveling in the vents was because Birkin and the zombies couldn't get her in there. So, oops. In the original RE2, Birkin isn't your first boss fight. A scenario always fights a rejected G,
Is that
and you never
Mrs.
fight
Ruby?
Birkin until the middle of the game. So you end up hearing a lot about him before you ever see him. In Remake, the first time you even hear about Birkin is when you meet him during the first boss fight. After Leon fights Birkin, a ladder drops to let him out of the boss pit.
I love
and he
how
says,
every time she shows Birkin fight, it's with the speedrun strat.
Somebody's watching.
The fucking
Which I
knife.
guess the implication is that Ada dropped it for him, and how does that work? Like, Sherry drops the ladder for Claire, but Leon doesn't have a friend with him, so it just drops on its own. This would have been fine if he didn't mention it. This happens several times in the game. There's a loophole. So they have
This
Leon
is pretty
remark on it.
nitpicky.
Somebody's watching me. Huh. That was easy. Where did this thing come from?
If he didn't mention it, I wouldn't give a shit. Boss is dead, so a way out appears, like every other game. But you have the character draw attention to it, so I say, yeah, you're right. That was easy. Almost like it's a plot hole the dev team didn't think was worth fixing. Thanks for drawing attention to that, Leon. There's no continuity between Claire and Leon's game in Remake. You fight the same bosses in the same places. You take the same routes through the station and the lab, only differing to Iron's office or the garage. They tell the same story without making room for how Annette keeps dying in different places. That was the whole point of having different scenarios in the original game, to tell a different but cohesive story. B scenario always has to
Yeah, and that's the thing. There is no cohesive story in the original, and you could do many in the remake, or in the original, sorry. And there is no cohesive story in the remake, which is that's like, all in all, at the end of the day, like despite what the rest of this video says, in my opinion, unless this video changes my mind, the bad thing about remake is that there's no cohesive story, and in the original there's multiple.
The train in A scenario always fights Birkin before the final elevator. This creates a feeling of being delayed and makes the scene of A scenario's character running out to meet a moving train feel more exciting and less convenient. A and B already know about the train and have had to communicate in order to get it running. When Leon makes it off the world's longest elevator, he just finds the train and hops on. Lucky day. I also really like how Ada always gives a rocket launcher to the character in B's scenario, and this is Claire's only interaction with her. I always thought the idea that Sherry was locked to A scenario and Ada B could have been really interesting. There are so many things Remake.
Yeah, see, I was saying that earlier, and I wish that's what RE2 Remake did, where everyone gets to meet every character in their own scenario. That would have been really cool to see. Yeah, I was saying that earlier. The RE2 Remake is running at like 10 FPS.
Expanded on, but all they did was take away. Also, you can't damage Birkin on the train until his eyeball comes out, so you're just left standing there.
I like how this is just thrown in there.
Listening to your character embarrass themselves.
Hope you like bullets, because I got a hell of a lot more.
But Remake's biggest flaw isn't its bland character designs or its cut content. It's the fundamental misunderstanding of its characters.
Oh, fuck!
Claire Redfield understanding of its characters.
Alright, this is a good time to use the bathroom. 1 sec. This video has been really funny. Like, I don't know if it's unironically funny, but 1 second. All right, sorry. It's oh my God, sorry. My stupid sick brain. Or I mean my sick brain. I'm actually sick, not like sick in the head. Thank you C3 and thank you Blokey. I ordered a burger and it's really windy here, so my power might go out. I'm just saying. All right.
In RE2, Claire Redfield arrives at a diner in Raccoon City and finds the place overrun with zombies.
Okay.
She meets a cop, gets a gun, and tells him she's here to find her brother.
We're retreading a lot of the video already.
Yeah. First day on the job. Great, huh? Name's Leon Kennedy. Nice to meet you.
Mine's Claire. Claire Redfield. I came to find my brother, Chris.
They agree to try the police station as it seems the safest place to go, and they both have business there anyway. Leon crashes, and depending on the scenario you picked, this decides which way the car spins and who reaches the station first, ultimately changing the fate of the people they meet.
And I love that.
Claire's
I love
search
that.
for her brother leads her to his desk, where she learns he's out of town. Before she can leave, a fax comes in, and this is our introduction to Chief Irons. There are several notes in the game about Irons, detailing his involvement with Umbrella, his history of sexual assault, and how he's a creepy, violent man to work for. Upstairs, Claire hears a scream coming from behind the crashed remains of a helicopter, and the area becomes a place of interest. After working to clear the wreckage, Claire enters the room and is confronted with a body.
Oh.
Oh. I'm terribly sorry. I thought you were another one of those zombies. That's the mayor's daughter.
Just look at her.
I was told to look after her, but I failed miserably. Just look at her. She was a true beauty. Her skin nothing short of perfection. But it will soon putrefy and she will turn into a zombie within the hour like all the others.
Yeah, B, you're crazy. RE2, don't you read the title? RE2 Remake is garbage.
And to think that taxidermy used to be my hobby. But no longer.
Okay, before we go down this road, Irons is just... Remakes Irons is like... It's just a slightly different take on the character. I think both are awesome in their own ways.
Please. I'd really like to be alone now.
Leaving to the next room, Claire properly meets Sherry for the first time. When asked why she's at the station, Sherry says her mother called and told her it would be safer here. This is true, as there's evidence that a large group of survivors was staying at the station.
Well, this video makes me want to play RE2. The thing about these like super crazy, in-depth, like dissect everything videos is that sure, you could talk about all this shit every day, all day, but it's all about personal experience of the game. A lot of people might play RE2 OG and not even fucking bat an eye at the story. They don't give a fuck why Claire's there. They don't care why Leon's there. They're skipping the cutscenes. They're there to shoot zombies, and that's what they want to do. And this game is the most fun game to shoot zombies in, and that's why it's their favorite game of all time. So, like, don't put too much thought into this kind of game or this kind of video, because at the end of the day, even for people like me, like, if this game is garbage because of the story, I don't fucking care. I care so little about the story. RE2 and every classic Resident Evil game has such a subpar story anyway, so why give a fuck about that? That's not why they're beloved games.
When you go to leave through Iron's office, he and the body are gone. After completing the puzzle in Iron's office...
I shouldn't say why give a fuck about that. Clearly this person does, and clearly a lot of people will. But for me personally, I like shooting zombies with powerful guns. And, you know, I like the characters. Obviously, I love Resident Evil. I love everything about it. I love the franchise deeply. But... like the elements I care more about don't align with this person. And this just goes in line with like anyone reviewing anything and people thinking too deeply of that review. Like someone you love reviewed something that you love and they hated it, you know, and you're just instantly like, oh man, I guess it sucks. It's like, well, they might have hated it because of the story and you also hated the story, but it just didn't matter to you as much. You know what I mean? And so that's why you should just
takes Iron's secret elevator to the sewers for her first boss fight.
So you've made it this far.
Okay, you would disagree the original trilogy had great stories. I mean, sure, but they're not like crazy stories. Get into mansion, secret underground base, you know, the virus gets out. They're not crazy. Like, they're not hard to understand. It's not like there's some incredible writing at play. They're very, very simplistic stories about a viral outbreak, and that's it. Like, yeah, there's some small elements to them, but the stories are not nuts by any means. And go play Dino Crisis. Like, that game actually gets like, the writing in Dino Crisis is far better than the writing in any classic Resident Evil game, because the story's nutty in Dino Crisis. But they actually try to go a little crazy with the writing in those games, where for Resident Evil, anyone can digest a Resident Evil story. Like, it does not take a genius to play these games and understand what's going on. And that is why a lot of people love them too. I'm not saying the stories are like dog shit. It's just they're nothing to write home about. It's not like these are the story to Resident Evil 1, 2, 3 is going to win any awards or anything.
Not bad, girl. But I'm not letting anyone leave my town. Everyone's gonna die.
Irons rants to Claire about how Umbrella screwed him over. Injured and spiteful, Irons is spiraling in his anger, and Claire is subject to listen to him. He croons about Umbrella destroying his beautiful city and only
destroyed
talks about
my
the G-Virus
beautiful
when prompted to
town
by Claire. He explains through his upset what exactly the G-Virus is and that Birkin is Sherry's father. This is Claire's entire relationship with Irons. He doesn't care about Claire or Sherry or anyone at all. The only person Irons cares about is himself. Mm-hmm. He's a corrupt officer obsessed with power and the position he has to wield it, and he's pissed because Umbrella took that away from him.
Those monsters from Umbrella have destroyed
my beautiful town. How could they do that to him?
How could they do that to me after everything I've done for them?
Irons grew impatient with the survivors in the station, with his command to watch over the mayor's daughter. Umbrella took away the control he had over the city, but he still has control over its station. Irons
can't we still ask for consistency? Like, yeah, the game is great as a game, but well, and that's the thing. People talk about how good the story is. There's no canon story in RE1. There's no canon story in RE2 Remake, and there's RE3 Remake. Who the fuck cares?
This game with the survivors in the RPD, the last of which was the woman you found on his desk. He also cut the phone lines from
Resident Evil
cities
canon
so no one could call
in
for
general
help.
is like a
This
joke.
is what Irons cares about, this last effort of exerting control over people. He doesn't care about Claire or why she's here. He has no reason to. All he cares about is control, and she's just another person in his police station. And if he's going to die here, well, so is she.
But if I have to go, I'm going to take you with me.
He's crazy. Oh, his chest!
One last grip on control from a spiraling man, violent and furious at the slight against him. But there are figures at play outside of his control, and Irons dies because of them.
I love that death.
Bitter irony.
Remake
Hello,
thought
human.
it would be a good idea to have a character whose entire backstory is that he's a rapist, tie up, and beat their game's female protagonist. Wow. Good one, guys. Remake really said Irons can beat up one more woman before he dies, as a treat. And the thing is, it's completely
This
pointless.
is getting personal.
Irons enters the scene holding a gun on her and Sherry. Why is this not enough? Why tie her up when she's already complying and frees herself seconds later anyway? If Irons only wanted the pendant and not Sherry, why doesn't he just take it and let them go? Why does he want the pendant?
See, I don't think getting angry at like dark themes or deep themes is just for like criticizing a video game, because there's a lot of great movies and video games that deal with some dark themes and stuff. So I think that's a little bit of a
First place.
extreme nitpick.
Irons doesn't care about the G-Virus. He doesn't even care all that much about Umbrella when it isn't about what he can get from them. There's no speech in Remake about what Irons wants or what his goal is, but in RE2, Irons hates Umbrella because of what they've done to his city, because they went and messed up a good thing. Irons had control of his force, control of his city, and Umbrella lining his pockets. He has no vested interest in their goals, just the protection money they offer him. The only thing Remake tells us about Irons is that he wants the pendant. Why? Am I supposed to believe that Irons is going to, what, go through the entire sewer area and then the lab to get the G-Virus? For what? To destroy it? And why does he even need the pendant? I mean, Leon didn't. I can only assume this is Irons' goal because the game doesn't tell us anything. Irons likes
up for your
tangible power. What
interpretation.
would destroying the G-Virus do for him? Irons doesn't want to make Umbrella pay. He's too focused on himself, mourning his loss of power and stewing in his fury. This outbreak is about him and his losses. To Irons, it's all over.
Yeah.
Irons' story was always going to end in self-destruction. He just wanted to destroy everyone else first. Even though you interact with Irons a lot more in RE2, it's never personal. In Remake, Claire gets her arms tied behind her back, even though she wasn't resisting. And when she hears that Irons wants to take Sherry with him...
Well, I mean, clearly he's a fucking psycho, so that's why she's tied
This
up.
is her response.
You heard her. I swear to God, my brother is stars, and I will fuck.
Like Irons is a school bully pulling pigtails and not a violent man with a gun at her head. What the fuck is Chris going to do, Claire? You don't even know where he is. It's like telling a mugger, wait till I tell the cops about this. What do they care? They still have your wallet. Stupid thing to say.
Well, I mean, Chris, yeah, I mean, it is a stupid thing to say, but it's more of a human take rather than like, it's something that a line that might come out as a human being in this situation, rather than a script done up by a writer, you know what I mean?
Why is the only thing Claire has in this situation a weightless threat of telling her brother Irons is being mean? Why isn't Claire given any tangible way of fighting this? The whole point is Irons doesn't care about Claire personally, something Remake must have realized because they directly reference it.
Are you Chief Irons?
Yes, that's me. And just who are you? No, don't bother telling me. It makes no difference.
What's your name? What's your fucking name?
Claire!
Why such a deliberate change? This scene of a rapist tying up and standing over Claire, all while holding a gun to her chin, fucking sucks and was totally unnecessary. Because despite making Irons even shittier, despite making it personal, there's no payoff. His death is completely flaccid and anticlimactic. You just
Flaccid?
find him in a hallway and an embryo comes out of
His death
stomach.
does suck. Like, I think Irons is a fine character in Remake. Like, he's way more the type of character that you want to just fucking despise, rather than just this evil character that, you know, I don't know how anyone I'm not going to talk about how we feel about Chief Irons. It's a bad character to talk about how we feel about. But yeah, his death was definitely underwhelming in Remake. I completely agree there, but I don't think the character's like, oh, he was a rapist and beating up women, so therefore he's a bad character. It's like, you know, that I watch a lot of horror movies and this shit isn't even on the spectrum.
In RE2, Irons finishes a big speech about control and entitlement, with the rejected G splitting him in half, or Birkin chewing him up and sending him 20 feet in the air.
Yeah. That's
in
the
RE2,
one.
Claire faces Iron's bruised ego by
See, I ranted about this when I first played RE2 Remake. Like, this is
embryo
Iron's only death in RE2, and it sucks.
out of
And
his
or
stomach.
2 Remake.
Geez,
And in
splitting
2, he gets split in half, and he gets his legs ripped off and eaten and thrown up sky high. I love that shit. I wish that was
or
in
Birkin
Remake.
chewing him up and sending him 20 feet in the air. In RE2, Claire
That was
faces
such a good
Iron's
jump scare,
bruised
too.
ego by saying,
Calm down, Chief. What happened?
Calm down, Chief.
"Why don't you go do some taxidermy and maybe you'll calm down?" In Remake, Claire is tied up, beaten, threatened, and watches a murderer and a rapist steal a child. And what does she say?
If you hurt her, I swear to God, my brother is stars and I will fuck.
Claire threatening to tell on Irons to her brother is ridiculous, but it's also implying Claire can't do anything about this herself. But Irons was never her problem, so they invented a scenario where Irons is threatening Sherry and dominating Claire, but they then don't give Claire any means to fight back against this. They make Irons way grosser and make his contact with Claire personal, but don't give her anything to make that fair.
Well, this is also a way to develop Sherry as well, I think, which maybe she'll touch on.
This. All the scene adds is a gross power dynamic that doesn't exist in the original and displays Claire as having so little influence as to need her brother to come in and help. So all you did was have a man beat up a woman and then the woman say she needs another man to deal with this. Great addition.
Okay, well, we all see the stance that is taken on that scene, but it's set up more so for Sherry, I think, and the relationship between Claire and Sherry and that bond that develops between them. And that is why during the final moments with Sherry, Claire, and Annette, it's very, very probably one of the most emotional moments in the franchise, because you have all these things to set up their relationships going through the game. And yeah, that's why I think it's done how it's done. And that relationship and bond is strengthened further by Irons being an evil, like, piece of shit rapist, because you do not want to see Sherry with that kind of human. You know what I mean?
Irons went from a man spiraling at his loss of power and desperate to drag everyone.
And this goes into another point of Sherry in RE2 OG fucking sucks. She's the worst, in my opinion, one of the worst characters in the game. I don't feel anything for Sherry except annoyance in RE2 OG and RE2 Remake, because of scenes like that, because of the situations that Sherry ends up in all the time. You feel fucking terrible for her. And then when she finally starts crying and showing emotion, you start showing emotion too, because you feel terrible for that character because of moments like this. And that's why it's set up in that way. So I think the hate is very unwarranted for that Irons Claire Sherry scene. And I don't think that she understands that aspect of the cutscene, because she doesn't even mention Sherry's name. And that's fine. Just give me my commentary on someone else's opinion.
Someone else down with him in an attempt to get it back.
I'm sharing my own
To a
opinion
dude that
more so.
abuses women until a man comes in and stops him. In Remake, Annette's contribution to the creation of the G-Virus is a lot more recognized, and her interest in Birkin after he infects himself is scientific. I like these changes, but unfortunately this is where her character starts and ends, leaving out Annette's most crucial characteristic, an all-encompassing love for her family. When Claire first meets Annette in the sewers, she makes the connection.
Well, this is another thing that ties into you caring deeply about Sherry and why Sherry's character is so expanded upon. And yeah, what I said earlier.
And that she must be Sherry's mother. Annette is so surprised at the mention of her daughter, she forgets all about accusing Claire of being a spy.
Then you must be Annette. Sherry's
Yeah.
mother?
I love it.
What?
What?
Sherry's
Shut up,
wandering
Annette.
around alone in the sewers. You have to help me find her.
That's impossible. I told her to go to the police station.
Okay,
They
we've
agree to
heard
split
that
up
enough.
And look for her.
It's Sherry. You go that way.
The one thing Annette cared about more than her research, more than protecting her husband's legacy, is Sherry. Compare this with what happens in Remake when Claire mentions Sherry for the first time.
Do you know Sherry? It's an impressive display of strength. What happened to her?
Yeah, she's way more obsessed with her work in this game and doesn't give a fuck about Sherry. And this ties into something actually earlier. People that played RE2 Remake hated on the first scene with Claire and Sherry, like, I forget what Claire says, but Claire's trying to relate to Sherry and everyone finds it silly, like it's so stupid. But it makes perfect sense, because for Sherry doesn't even have parents. Sherry doesn't know what having a parent is like. And so at the end of the game, when she's just like, oh, you're my parents now, and some of the audience of RE2 Remake is thinking like, this is so stupid, like Sherry doesn't give a fuck about her parents. Yeah, because her parents don't give a fuck about her. Like, a lot of these people probably grew up in households with a caring mother and father. Like, some people are raised where they might as well not even have a fucking mom or dad. They have nothing. They have no one that gives a shit about them. Yeah, they have a home to stay in, but other than that, they're ridiculed. They feel like shit. They don't know what it's like to be loved. And that is Sherry in this game. She doesn't know what it's like to experience that kind of thing. So at the end of the game, because of these moments that are happening through the game, because she sees Claire is trying to save her from these horrible things she's being dragged into, she is experiencing love for her for the first time in her entire life because her parents never gave it to her. So she looks up to Claire as that mother figure. And that is why we care about Sherry in RE2 Remake and don't give a fuck about it in RE2 OG. Because in OG, sure, she might still not have that like loving mother and father, but we also don't get any dynamic between like the triangle of them, and Sherry's is not as fleshed out in the original in general, so it's not really a topic to jump on.
We have to assess the situation. I didn't foresee this.
Excuse me. Where is she? Hello?
What?
Can you help me find Sherry?
Seems to be evolving much faster than expected.
Well, you wouldn't go and say you can be my new parents, even though children. Well, you mean you just said it yourself. Even though children say stupid shit all the time, they say stupid shit all the time, so that she could say that.
Annette is so distracted by her research that she doesn't care about anything else. Claire mentions Sherry by name 5 times, and Annette doesn't even look up. In RE2, Annette
my like 7-year-old nephew freaking called me Baby Yoda. Like, the kids will say anything, and if you show a kid love, like unconditional love, and they can see that, of course they're gonna look at you like they're your parents or a guardian or anything like that.
At gunpoint, demanding she tell her where her daughter is.
Annette! Where's Sherry? Which room? Tell me.
Oh God, my burger people are giving me a call. 1 second. Fellas, I got my burger. Because of the RE2 Remake burger. Okay, I'm not going to eat it at the moment.
Sherry!
The next time we see either Sherry or Annette, they're having a conversation, something that never happens in the original game outside of one scenario where Annette is dying, and it's played like some poor kid with a workaholic parent thing, like Sherry's at home alone and not literally in the middle of a zombie outbreak with a huge monster specifically after her.
Yeah, because Annette doesn't give a fuck about her. Like, people gotta realize that there are some people in the world that they're so consumed by their work that they don't care about anything else around them. And I've been in that situation before. I've been in that situation. Like, man, when I first, and arguably still, but when I first started streaming, I didn't pay attention to anything because I couldn't. I was so, like, to get into streaming and to get into doing YouTube and stuff, you need to put your entire life into it. So when it came to, like, talking to my friends or my family or anyone else, I didn't have time. It was all about the stream and only the stream. And that's all I could handle. Like, you know, I was obsessed with my work. And even when I was in culinary, like when I was working in a restaurant and I was catering, I didn't have time to care about anything else. And sure, having a child is different, but you have to realize you're human. Do people not understand that there are humans out there? There might be some in the chat. You might know someone in real life that they don't give a fuck about their kid. They could care less because they're so obsessed with getting to the top of their work or completing some objective. And this makes perfect sense. Like Annette and William Birkin are trying to create a world-changing virus. They're trying to do world-changing research, and that's going to make trillions of dollars, change everything about the world, which it does later on in the franchise. So to reach those goals, they can't care about some kid that they have. They can't achieve something they can't achieve something of that multitude while taking care of some kid. They don't give a fuck about the kid. And like that, it's very like, oh, show the burger. It's no RE2 remake burger. Look at that. Sounds like my wife. Is that what anyone's thinking right now when I was saying all this shit? Hey, they gave me something. It's coleslaw, guys. Does that make sense? Is anyone confused by what I just said? The game is trash because man, sounds like my wife. Pulling off such a speech about kids and family, and chat goes, show burger. Yeah, well, that's how it is.
Sherry, I told you, I cannot leave here until my work is done.
That's what you always say.
Yeah,
Annette
that's what
spends
she
the
always
whole game
says.
trying to find her daughter. Having Remake bring them together just to have Annette brush her off is infuriating.
Yeah.
They even have her chastise Sherry and yell at her before cutting off communication.
It seems like the creator of this video is taking things very personally. That's fine. That's fine. I'm just saying. I'm treating it as a video game.
I was scared. Those things were everywhere, and...
You should have called the police. That's what we taught you.
I did, but nobody came.
Listen to Sherry's
you didn't
voice
answer
acting.
your phone, so...
Sherry...
Oh, I gotta put my noise gate back on.
We never see Birkin infect Sherry in the remake, but it's implied to have only happened through this neglect from Annette. Annette would have literally killed for the opportunity to see her daughter again, to be given the opportunity to protect her.
I should say taking it personally, but I think this is more about the remake and the original being one-to-one. But they sort of changed the character, all the characters around in the remake versus the... That doesn't mean they're bad. I think both iterations of the game are great. I think RE2 original and RE2 remake, by the way, if you want to know my opinion, are both of the best survival horror games of all time. They're in the top 5 easy, both of them. Like, and I don't mean together. I think both of them separately are 2 of the best survival horror games ever made, and for their own reasons. And yes, the characters are different, but I don't mean they're bad. They're different in a way that fits what the game is going for. Like with Annette and Irons in the remake, they're trying to build up Sherry, and they're trying to show that the Birkin family only gives a fuck about their career and their work rather than their kids.
And get her out of this mess. In RE2, she's terrified at the idea of Birkin finding Sherry, but in the remake, she doesn't even care when she gets infected. Claims there's nothing that can be done despite an antidote already mixed and waiting.
Sherry's been implanted. She can't be saved.
But wait, she can treat her?
Wait! I can treat her. In my lab.
No, wait, she can't.
Thank you, Raven.
There's not enough time.
Satoshi
Sherry.
Raven cheered.
I mean, this makes
100.
perfect sense.
I thought this was made by Susie the Sphere Hunter, but this video was made by someone else.
Yep.
Voice is just similar to Susie's for me at least.
Yeah,
Enjoy
yeah.
your meal.
Okay, I'm gonna eat up with
Mommy
my
loves
webcam.
you,
I'll still
sweetie.
comment.
Goodbye.
What an incredible
Just-
disservice to a woman who
Well,
literally
I'm
used
mommy.
her last breath
this-
instructing a stranger on how to save her
Never
daughter's
mind.
life.
How can I save Sherry?
I have detailed information. Everything you need to know to prepare the antidote is right here.
Or to reassure Sherry that she loves her. Watching this scene,
What are you doing?
I'm here to help.
She can't
Susie's
be saved.
burner account.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're her
Susie
mother.
fucking
Get
hates
in here.
RE2 remake, actually.
This conversation is over.
Goodbye.
Are you fucking kidding me? Sherry, don't worry. I will get you whatever you need, okay?
Well,
Why are you doing...
okay, at least Bawk is showing this, so we don't need to give her attention. Well, I don't think this person's opinion is wrong. Makes a lot of great points for earlier in the video.
Because I care.
is infuriating. This idea that, thank God Claire is here to care about Sherry, otherwise who knows what would have happened, because her mother clearly doesn't. Why make the change that Annette doesn't care about her daughter when it was the only thing she cared about in the original, the only thing that distracted her from avenging her husband or hiding away the G-virus? This idea that if Claire wasn't there, Sherry would have died only because Annette wouldn't have cared enough to help her is disgusting. I can't express how angry this makes me. It centers everything on Claire when not everything is about her, and writes out the love Annette has for Sherry. And for what? To make Claire look like more of a hero? Sherry has this dumb, I don't want my locket anymore because...
I mean, that's true. What she is saying is true. It's just they changed, you know. She's angry that it's not like the original, which that's fair. I don't agree, but fair.
Mom gave it to me and I'm mad at her moment, failing to replicate the scene from RE2 where Sherry talks about being lonely a lot of the time and missing her mom. In this scene, Sherry also talks about how it was hard to depend on her mother sometimes because she was always busy at work. This does not translate to Annette would clearly let Sherry die if it got in the way of her looking under a microscope. Dear God, so she missed a recital one time. It doesn't mean she wants the kid dead. Anyway, this whole scene is justification for Claire having the locket in order to open up a case that for Leon isn't even locked. So, that was well thought out. You could even argue the whole reason they changed Annette to not care about Sherry was to get Sherry to not want her locket, which was to get Claire in possession of the locket, which is used to open a cabinet that for Leon isn't locked anyway. I love this scene, by the way, where there's a girl right in front of her, but Claire still looks around like, where do I put the sick child? And wow, how convenient that there's just an open email on the existence of an antiviral agent that makes so much more sense than any other alternative. Annette reintroduces the existence of freeze rounds into Resident Evil, which is pretty cool. When I saw this for the first time, I knew it was confirmation for an RE3 remake, but then that remake was announced to release only existence of an antiviral agent that makes so much more sense than any other alternative. Annette reintroduces the existence of freeze rounds into Resident Evil, which is pretty cool. When I saw this for the first time, I knew it was confirmation for an RE3 remake, but then that remake was announced to release.
He doesn't know. Pepe laugh. Because this video was created before 3 remake. No freeze rounds, bud!
Released only a year after this game, and I lost all interest. In this flashback where Birkin injects himself with the G-Virus, Annette is standing right in front of the cabinet with the antiviral agent in it. But I guess she couldn't open it because her daughter has the key or something. But I guess she wouldn't have wanted to help him anyway, because in Remake...
Honestly, we were more married to our work than each other.
Not true. Annette loved Birkin almost as much as she loved her daughter. That was her entire motivation in RE2. She loved him so much, she was willing to kill to protect his legacy. And ultimately, love
They did change in that quite a bit.
But okay, go off Remake. Be one-dimensional. Have a woman be interested in her work, but only at the loss of love for her husband and child. This response is even more infuriating because it's Claire telling her it's understandable she wouldn't be able to kill her husband. So even when offered permission, the explicit excuse to love her family, they have Annette specifically say that wasn't why. But thank God, Claire is here to convince Annette to care about her daughter.
I got this. You should take care of Sherry.
Annette needs to be told to go see her dying daughter. She needs to be told to go give her daughter a cure to her illness. Ugh. Thank God for Claire. What would have happened without her? In RE2, there are 2 endings to Annette and Sherry's storyline. Either Sherry gets infected and Annette dies before they can meet, or Sherry is awake and finds her mother as she's dying from Birkin's assault. I wanted to keep this tonally sad, but Birkin literally brains her in the head with a pipe, saving Leon's life. In this ending, Annette tells Sherry to escape and that she loves her. Annette asks for forgiveness, and then she dies.
Mom!
What's up, Sherry?
Mom!
Sherry, you have to escape. I know I've been a terrible mother, but I still love you. Forgive me.
Scene is nice.
Sherry, we have to go now.
Claire tells Sherry that they have to leave, but she remains
The music
immovable
carried
and
that scene.
unresponsive, and only gets up when you pick up the master key to leave. In Remake, Annette isn't allowed to tell Sherry she loves her, but thank God, Claire is there to tell Sherry that theoretically her mother loved her.
Save my daughter.
No!
Sherry? Sherry, please say goodbye to your mom. Mom, please say goodbye. Please, Sherry. Listen. She loves
loved you, okay?
And then, 5 seconds after her mother dies, Sherry says,
"You were right about this jacket. I'm so lucky to have you."
It's sorry, the annoyance in her voice is what's making me laugh. Kids say the darndest things, man.
Her mother dies, Sherry says,
"You were right about this jacket. I'm so lucky to have you."
What? What kind of perspective is that? She went through 10 years of therapy and self-reflection in the time it took her to stand up. Are you fucking kidding me? But we have to know just how great Claire is. Did you know? Claire is crying over Annette's body because this scene is about Claire and not about Annette or Sherry, which is why Claire must be immediately reassured that she's a great person. In RE2, Claire and Sherry are separated and she finds her already beside her mother. Claire doesn't say anything because she doesn't have to. And we, the audience, know that this is a sad moment. Sherry doesn't respond, doesn't move until you make her leave. This scene is sad. Sherry's grief is shown. There's no ill-timed expressions of gratitude to Claire, no half-hearted reassurances about a woman she didn't know. They aren't needed. The scene is strong enough, and the story respects its characters enough for the player to know what's happening. Also, after Sherry says how lucky she is to know Claire, this is her response.
We can talk more about that later.
Like, yeah, be sure to tell me how great I am again later. Annette's goals in RE2 are to find her daughter, to protect the G-Virus, and, after finding Birkin dead on the tram, avenge her husband. Annette's motivations are all centered on what matters to her most, her work and her family. There are
By the way, guys, as I don't agree with some of this video, there are some things that, if you're just getting here, that we're like 40 minutes or like 50 minutes into this video. There have been some great points brought up. But yeah, we'll see. It's great so far, guys. Who's having fun?
So she keeps them together.
Having fun in the chat.
In RE2, Annette pleads with Birkin to stay alive while she goes and finds aid. In Remake, Annette is in front of a cabinet containing the antidote but doesn't even try to give it to him. In Remake, Annette's only goal is to kill Birkin because
I couldn't let my daughter grow up in a world with the G-Virus in it.
But then why was she making it in the first place? If Annette wanted to destroy the G-Virus, that would make things a lot more simple, wouldn't it? But she doesn't. That's her and her husband's life's work. Her husband died for the G-Virus. She doesn't want to destroy it. That's what makes things complicated. That's why she spends the whole game trying to protect it from the people who were sent to take it. If she wanted it destroyed, why would there be a whole case of it? Why would she fear spies? Remake's writing really operates under the idea that, so long as we end up in the same place, how we get there doesn't matter. Most of these changes I don't understand, but for Annette's at least I do. In RE2, Claire has to make the antiviral agent from scratch, taking the base and mixing it herself. Because the antidote in Remake already exists, and they moved the mixing element to a different part of the game, they still had to have Claire be directly involved in getting Sherry the cure. This is how they chose to do that. What utter dog shit. Every character in Remake is a one-dimensional hollow interpretation. What utter dog shit. Every character in Remake is a one-dimensional hollow interpretation of themselves. No one can care about more than one thing, and it's all so incomplex and insincere. Remake invokes the most bland and spoon-fed dialogue I've ever heard.
Oh, why are you doing this?
Because I care.
Thank you, Claire. I don't know what I'd do without you.
I know it seems like your mom doesn't care, but... Sherry, just say goodbye to your mom. Mom, please say goodbye. Please, Sherry. Listen. She loved you, okay?
You were right about this jacket. I'm so lucky to have you.
We can talk more about that later. We gotta hurry now. Come on.
Claire?
Yeah?
Thank you for being so nice to me. For helping me. I'm really glad I met you.
I'm really glad I met you too, Sherry.
The amount of times Sherry thanks Claire, the amount of times she says some iteration of, "I'm so glad I met you." Even Claire's obsession over Sherry gets to the point of weird. Like, look at this scene.
Sherry? Where's Sherry? Do you know Sherry?
It's an impressive display of
Sherry?
strength.
What happened to her? Excuse me. Where is she?
That doesn't give a
Hello?
fuck.
What?
Where's she?
I'm back.
Annette.
Who's that?
The creature responsible for this.
What? Can you help me find Sherry?
Seems to be a...
I need to find Sherry.
My daughter is not your concern.
Annette is offering information, but Claire is so one-track minded she doesn't even care. Like, damn, if that were my daughter, I wouldn't tell you either. You're creepy. In RE2, Claire is looking for survivors, and she finds one, but she also cares. You're creepy-minded.
Wait, who is creepy? Claire?
She doesn't even care. Like, damn, if that were my daughter, I wouldn't tell you either. You're creepy. In RE2, Claire...
Okay, Claire has some creepy fucking moments in RE2 OG. Like, when Sherry's about to go, when Claire and Sherry meet again, like down in the sewer area, she's like, don't you trust me? Just like,
looking for
one of the
survivors,
creepiest
and
moments
she
of the
finds
game.
one, but she also cares about the other people she meets and what else is going on in the world. This Claire is so
Oh, I don't
focused
trust
on
you,
Sherry,
stranger.
She doesn't pay attention to anything else at all. It's weird, and because Remake decided every character can only have one thing to care about, the hyper-focus on Sherry becomes almost disturbing. Claire doesn't seem to care about anything else.
Okay,
and
that's
her
a stretch.
obsession comes from nowhere.
That's a stretch.
Sherry was a lot more interesting as a character in the original as well. When you find Sherry in the parking garage, she says she can't come with you because she hears her father and thinks the monsters must be after him.
But it's dangerous here as well. You'd better come with me.
Thank you, Daniello.
But there's something out there. I don't know what it is, but I saw it. Much larger than any of those zombies.
And it's coming after me.
What was that?
That's what I was telling you about.
It's here.
It's here.
Sherry, wait! We've got to go now, honey, okay? If we stay here, that monster will find us.
This is it.
Let's go.
No, I won't.
What's the matter? Don't you trust me?
Oh, she knows.
It's not that, Claire. It's because of my daddy. He's over there. I heard him call my name.
He knows.
Daddy must have been attacked by the monsters. I have to help him.
Thank you, AI
Sherry
Betty.
knows she's specifically being targeted by this monster.
I
in
didn't
the
watch
station,
this.
But she also keeps hearing her father call her name. And
I
is
did not
trying to
fucking
find
watch
him.
this. This is my first time watching this video.
This is chilling. But all Sherry does in Remake is swing arms with Leon and Claire, and despite her parents dying...
This reviewer sucks. No, I think it's fine. Here, guys, look. This reviewer has one video, and it's from 2020, October 11, and it's this video, and then they've disappeared off the face of the planet.
Early minutes ago says,
Hey, you guys can adopt me.
I've seen some tremendously bad takes on the internet about this, so let me just set the record straight. Claire is 19. She is nobody's mother. Claire leaves Sherry and Leon in the desert at the very end of RE2 to continue searching for
Hey, I
Chris.
just talked about
Leon
this.
presumably contacts Sherry's extended family, and that's that. There's no adoption or whatever the fuck Remake wants me to think.
I really want to see this person's take on RE3 badly. Because, like, I like that she's mentioning the epilogue, or she shows the epilogue from RE3.
Continues
Because in RE3 Remake, they scrapped the epilogue, which was, in my opinion, one of the worst things they could possibly do. Like, the epilogues, this is fucking free content, making your audience super happy. Like, God, dude, this would take one employee like an hour. Not really, but you could get it done in like an hour. I mean, if you wanted to copy and paste what these said, it would take less than an hour, especially now with AI. Just all right, Claire, Leon holding back Sherry.
searching for Chris. Leon presumably contacts Sherry's extended family, and that's that. There's no adoption or whatever the fuck Remake wants me to think. Remake somehow made Ada and Sherry's parts worse.
I
if
like
only
this
because
chick,
they're
guys.
slow, but Ada's isn't even fun. I do like Iron's taxidermy room, and it makes more sense than his literal dungeon, but why is it at an orphanage? And it takes up so much space, like why not just make it Iron's house at this point? Also, where did Irons get an axe from? Sherry's like,
I want to see where you live.
which is weird, but also bad news, kid, because Claire literally leaves to chase after her brother in CVX the second the credits hit. Like, she literally leaves Sherry and Leon in the desert.
Not anymore. There's no epilogues in RE3 Remake.
Also, like, doesn't she live in a college dorm? Every character in this remake is a bland and one-dimensional take from the source material. Claire suffers from this as well, with her only motivation and interest being Sherry. But a prominent change to Claire in Remake is the removal of her personal goals. In RE2, Claire comes to Raccoon looking for her brother. Through his diary, she learns he and the other remaining STARS members have gone to Umbrella HQ in Europe. At the end of the game, Leon and Claire have this conversation.
The audio.
No.
He has to find her brother.
I have to find my brother.
She's right.
You're right.
This is just the
just the
beginning.
beginning.
Come on. We've got to move out.
Now what's the problem? Is something following us?
Hey, we still have a job to do.
The ending in OG is
Let's
way
go.
better.
Go? Oh, you can't mean.
Chris,
I have to find you.
And that's what she does, leaving Leon and Sherry in the desert immediately after the game ends and setting up the beginning of Symbiote.
I love the I love the contrast. Like you see, like, oh, like they're all together, and then this looks like it's immediately after, like, oh yeah, Sherry, you can see where I live and everything. It's Sherry in the picture's like, wait, don't go, Claire. Claire's like, yeah, fuck you, I'm
Claire's
off.
told by Marvin that Chris is on vacation. Claire, for some reason, believes this.
He's on vacation. Europe, I think. Left weeks ago.
Vacation? That's great news.
You find your brother?
I did actually.
Here's already a pretty big change from the original game. In RE2, a significant part of the beginning of the game is about how the STARS members wouldn't stop talking about what happened at the mansion and how Umbrella was behind it. Marvin tells Claire they lost contact with STARS 10 days ago, about a month after they left for Europe.
Chris, Jill, Barry. Every last STARS team member has disappeared. We should have listened to them. Chris and the other STARS members discovered that Umbrella was behind everything. At the risk of their own lives.
The sound.
But no one believed them.
So clearly, where they are and what they're doing isn't a secret. Hell, that's part of the reason Nemesis even exists. So at the end of the game, instead of going after her brother, this happens.
Is it over?
Wary the Rook, if you're, if you ever see this video or if you're ever here, please do a video on RE3 Remake.
I don't know. But if it's not, we'll stop it. Whatever it takes.
Yeah, you damn right we will.
Making the change that STARS kept quiet about Umbrella doesn't make sense from any perspective, and this change is directly involved in the removal of Claire's personal motivations. Maybe I'm overthinking it and it's just more thoughtless rewrites. Maybe Remake wanted to sever connection with one of its older games, or stay its own singular story. But this ties in with another change. In the opening of the game, Claire is seen on a payphone assuring someone that she's alright and will come home as soon as she finds Chris. She has a letter in her inventory from presumably the same person, and this letter sucks. It's awful. It says that Claire must be crazy to travel alone and that there are all kinds of, quote, perverts and assholes out there just waiting for a hot, young college student.
Hey!
What the fuck? I've never seen something so clearly not written by a real person, let alone a fellow teenager. And I know why they included this shit too. I know it's shitty foreshadowing to the shitty addition of Irons tying up and abusing Claire. Your friend warned you that there were perverts out there looking to attack young women, and they were right. And this theme continues through to the end of the game. Yeah. Leon, Claire, and Sherry see a truck on the horizon, and this alone is enough for Leon to tell Claire to get Sherry and
get
hide.
back.
It's a truck.
You're a woman, Claire. Get off the street.
Why, after fighting zombies and lickers and Birkin, is a truck so threatening that two girls have to hide in the grass?
Well, Capcom loves that. Like in RE0, how Rebecca is the hero of the story. Well, not really. It's Billy, I guess, because it's... But, and then, what does Rebecca do right when she gets to the mansion in RE1 Remake or RE1 OG? Well, she forgets literally fucking everything, and she doesn't even know how to hold a goddamn weapon. After handling a vastly harder version of the RE1 mansion, well, she can't even touch a fly in the remakes. Capcom loves that shit.
This paints a really shitty picture, intentional or not. Claire is warned at the beginning of the game that traveling alone as a woman is a crazy and dangerous thing to do. This is proven to be correct, and this scene at the end shows a gross lesson being taught, one that Claire is showing she's learned. So of course Claire can't go after Chris alone. It's too dangerous. There's something in this game I really want to talk about, but for whatever reason, people get really mad when you try and talk about how women are written and how sometimes that writing is bad.
I don't get mad.
To be said, but Claire isn't a real person. She's a character. A character someone wrote, someone who looked at the original script and thought it needed changing. And I think it's important to talk about why someone would think these changes are necessary. From Jill's physics in Remake to Ashley and RE4 constantly being put in situations where the player is flashed her underwear or even encouraged to look up her skirt for an achievement, to the dev team openly admitting they hate Rebecca, women in Resident
I never knew that, but hey, I could have guessed that.
Evil have always been treated a certain kind of way. There's this general opinion that because they could be treated worse, that they can't be treated better.
I did not watch this video, by the way, because people are accusing me that I have. I did not fucking watch this video.
RE2 wrote a strong character.
You think I sat through an hour and 49-minute video off stream? I haven't watched a YouTube video over like 20 minutes in like 10 years.
Claire, so much that it wasn't something I even thought about until after Remake.
Unless it's an ASMR video.
RE2 never makes reference to Claire's being a woman because that would be kind of weird, right? But Remake really wants you to know that Claire's a girl and that being a girl is hard and dangerous. And being a woman and being capable is notable enough to not just be remarked on, but attributed to someone else.
Obviously someone taught you well.
Yeah, she can shoot a licker in the ass.
I like how she brought this back in.
To someone else.
Obviously someone taught her well.
Obviously someone taught you well.
Yeah, she can shoot a licker in the ass, but at the end of the day is still victim to male harassment. She can kill a huge monster, but someone must have taught her how to. Yeah, she can...
Hey, I mean, what she's saying is true, but at the same time, I don't think it's that deep. Like, I don't think these things went through Capcom's head when doing the writing for this. Maybe they did, but like some of them, obviously they did. Like, you know, a woman traveling alone in a dangerous area. Yeah, it is far more dangerous for like an attractive walk around a more dangerous neighborhood rather than like a fine fucking huge bodybuilder. Obviously, that's common sense. But I don't know if Capcom, like, I don't think that's what they were going for with this, but let's keep listening.
Jump in a boss pit and say,
This ends now.
But she's still vulnerable enough to need protection from a man she doesn't even know.
I mean, but what she's saying is true to a degree. Like, as much as this kind of conversation, anything about like women or kind of that whole topic fucking pisses the internet off so much. I don't give a fuck, dude. Who cares? It's a topic. Talk about it. Don't just get angry at the existence of the topic. But I digress. Like she said with Rebecca, and I said with Rebecca before that, like they do that pretty often where it's like, oh, damsel in distress. And dude, with RE3 Remake, they did like, I know what a radio is, baby.
In RE2, Claire's a strong character. Remake makes sure you know that Claire's a strong woman and that there's a difference. It's hard to talk about these things because I don't think the writers sat down and rubbed their hands together and said, the remake's looking pretty good, but it could use some casual misogyny. But I do think the writing reflects why the perspective of making a strong female character.
I like this. She's touching on what I bring up right after I bring it up.
It's not only inherently sexist,
but it's making me seem like a phony here.
Inherent failure. A strong female character is not only inherently sexist, but sets you up for inherent failure. Putting so much of your mindset and focus on making sure you're writing a strong woman means making reference that this is uncommon. So uncommon that it must be remarked on by at least 2 people. I mean, the only way this scene with Marvin could be worse is if the writer says something like, yeah, my brother did. Oh wait, they do. I think this mindset also explains some of the inconsistencies in Claire's strength, if you want to call it that. Why she can jump down willingly into a boss pit, but the sight of a truck on a road makes her hide. I think it's important to think about why scenes like this were added. Claire isn't tied up and assaulted.
Like that, I agree fully. I think the ending of this game is fucking terrible. Like, I really don't like the ending. Now, did I think about the, oh, Claire, go and hide because you're a woman? That didn't even cross on my mind. But maybe in the back of my mind, that was a small fragment, but I just don't like the ending to 2 Remake. Like, I think most of 2 Remake is amazing, but the ending, man, is really...
to think about why scenes like this were added. Claire isn't tied up and assaulted in the original. They added that. Claire's competency doesn't need to be explained or attributed.
Well, they added it because I touched on her. They added it to build up Sherry's character, which she didn't.
Anyone in the original. They added that. Claire doesn't hide at the end of the game in RE2. They added that. To write a strong female character is to write a strong character, to treat women as complex characters and not just complex characters for women. It's about creating a character that operates in the world you create and if their actions make sense in that world. And a game from 1998 knew this better than one from 2019.
I mean, she's not wrong with, like, they added that, sure. But it's just sort of more topical now, like, you know, everyone knows, like, I don't need to Like it back in the day, no one cared. Like strong female characters were in many games, and you didn't need to make a point that they were female. Now you can't win. Now when you're making a female character, you cannot win. If they're not crazy hot, then it's like if they're not insanely hot, then they're super ugly. What's that? Yeah, my mic is dropping. What's that? If they're not insanely hot, then it's like, oh, must be a woman writer or something. And if they're way too hot, then the ladies are angry. It's like, well, where's all the... Like, you cannot win with a female character completely. Like, with a male character, no one gives a fuck. You can make him an ugly piece of shit. You can make him a hot, like, Jack Chad. No one cares. Like, it works every time. But with a female, you're always fucking stepping on glass shards with that. Like, whether or not you're pissed off guys or whether or not you're pissed off girls, you just can't win. And that didn't exist back then. Like, Lara Croft had huge boobs. No one cared. Everyone's like, fuck yeah. Like, no one cared back then. And now people do. So I think it's just part of the territory that you need to touch on these things. But with what she's saying, like, you know, Marvin being like, oh, who taught you that? Or mentioning it in the note. Like, for me as a guy playing through the game, I didn't even know those lines existed. I didn't put any thought into them. Like he was talking and I was like, okay, sure. Like, oh, someone taught you that, whatever. But, you know, so that shit didn't even dawn on me at all. But that's the thing. It's writing. Like, someone wrote that and wanted the audience to interpret it a certain way. For me, I interpret it this way. Okay. For someone like this, they're like, fucking, why does every second dude in this game think Claire had a dude to teach her what she's doing? You know, so I get the take. It does make sense. As much as it might anger people, you know, it's a thing that exists. But for me, I don't give a fuck. But for people that do, sure, go off, queen.
Sucker.
Leon Kennedy is a character with
She-Hulk was incredible, dude.
He is kind, a little confused, and simply looking to help. So when he meets
I dropped off
named
She-Hulk
Ada
on episode
during a zombie
2.
outbreak, he thinks it's his duty to keep her safe. Ada makes this difficult by constantly running away from him in search of her missing boyfriend. This worries Leon immensely, and they have a conversation where he asks Ada to work with him so he can keep her safe. We then play a section of the game as Ada, and her fire rate is faster than either Claire or Leon's. This is the player's first indication that Ada isn't who she says she is. Ada Wong is a spy. First indication
that's cool.
that Ada isn't who she is.
Never really thought about that.
Leon's. This is the player's first indication that Ada isn't who she says she is. Ada Wong.
I mean, Ada's suspicious from the
She's
fucking
undercover
get-go,
as a
but sure.
civilian in Raccoon City with the one goal of acquiring the G virus. Along the way, she meets a cop who won't leave her alone simply because.
I want every character to be hot, by the way. If I had it my way, every character would be like a supermodel.
Because his sense of ethics won't let him. Ada doesn't take advantage of this kindness. She's hampered by it, humbled by it. She runs and he worries about her. She gets hurt and he stays with her.
Well, like Kendo. Yeah, well, like, I'm not saying... Like, you know, I love Kendo. A lot of the characters I love are, like, butt-ass ugly. And that's fine. But, you know, I'm just saying. Like, I never... Like, it's rare to look at a character and be like, oh... like, sometimes... With Kendo's a good example of this. Like, being, like, ugly. That works for like that is Kendo. You can't have this guy being like some Giga Chad, like fucking ripped with like a tank top on. You can see his muscles. You can't. Well, he sort of is that. He just has a bit of a belly on him, but like, you know, that fits his character. Like this sleazy, like, oh, sorry about that, babe. You like the look of him. I am stereotypical. I have been superficial since I was a kid. I look at people sometimes. This isn't a racist thing or a sexist thing, but sometimes when you look at someone, and everyone thinks this in the back of their mind, or a lot of people do, where you think to yourself, like, I think I know what kind of person that is. You could look at Kendo just by the look of him, and you might be able to predict a few lines that are going to come out of his mouth. And that's why he looks the way he does. And I think when you're going for that kind of like stereotypical character, they need to look a certain way. And sometimes that's fitting. But when you're doing like, you know, generic hero characters, I would like them to be very hot. Whether or not it's a guy or a girl, I don't care.
The 4 show flip cheered X300. Aja 1 Kendo Bawk called me but happy words ugly. Aja 1 sad.
Oh, we got Twitch coming in.
Twitch cheered X30. We added 30 bits to the 4 show flips cheer.
Thank you, Twitch. Thank you for show flip. Like Andy and Gun Survivor, yeah.
instills a real sense of guilt.
Dude, the microaggression thing in this was so funny. Guys, this video has actually been hilarious. Like, I think people on the react content is gonna make people lose their mind.
In Ada because she doesn't believe
this was a really good watch.
She isn't a civilian. She can look after herself.
Thank you, Mover.
But
Thank you,
Leon
Houndish.
doesn't know this, and so she's inadvertently taking advantage of him. In RE2, Ada likes Leon, likes the idea of living how he does, with nothing but her own sense of right and wrong. And wouldn't it be nice to leave the world behind and live by nothing but a sense of virtue? But that isn't realistic, and she has a job to do. But maybe she can choose this one thing. Help this one person who doesn't deserve the mess he's found himself in. This is why she comes back to save him from Mr. X, even though she already has the G virus and could simply leave the city. That's why, in another scenario, she doesn't shoot him. Because Leon is simply a good person who got wrapped up in her mess because of that goodness. And he doesn't deserve to die when all he wanted to do was save as many people as possible, and she just happened to be one of them. Ada's story never involved Leon, but Leon's story would always involve Ada. I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but he isn't Leon. Leon joined the RCPD under the misguided belief that being a cop is a career where you can help people. The dev team of Remake heard cop and nothing else, because it's his entire personality. This scene at the beginning of him changing into a cop uniform is a great introduction to the character, because playing out the persona of policeman is the only thing he cares about, so it's good to see him getting into character. We're introduced to Ada in the parking garage.
She is funny.
Now rewritten to be playing a cool FBI lady, like, yeah, I saved your life, but God, was it annoying. Because that trope isn't boring as hell. I actually like this one line.
Stay sharp.
Rewriting Ada so she's pretending to be FBI throws off the entire balance of her and Leon's relationship. What's Leon's excuse for following her around? What's Ada's for letting him? Originally, I thought they made this change because they wanted Ada to be an inspiration to Leon, why he would go on to become a special agent, and he's going to follow her around in an attempt to learn from her. But that can't be the case because he never treats her with respect for literally a single second.
Hey! I'm not done talking to you!
Who the hell does he think he is to be talking to her like that? And wait, where's he going? Oh God. Oh no. It's the worst scene in the game. It's the culmination of everything wrong with the writing in this remake. The butchered story,
human.
the shit characterization, the unnecessary changes that don't add anything and actively take away from the original. It's Ben! Let's try to get through this as articulately as possible. Meet Ben. We find him alone in a jail cell, ecstatic to meet another living person. Ben says Irons locked him up, and Leon responds with,
I think Ben is okay in this game, but I do prefer him in the original quite a bit.
I'm sure he had a good reason.
And if I could gouge his eyes out, I would. Ben, unbothered by this response, says Irons did have a good reason. Ben has evidence that the chief is corrupt, and look at Leon's fucking face here. Ben, reasonably afraid of dying, asks to be let out of the cell. Ben has evidence that the chief is corrupt, and look at Leon's fucking face here. Ben, reasonably afraid of dying, asks to be let out of the cell. He'll even give Leon a key item if he does, and Leon looks him dead in the eye and says,
Sorry, I can't do that. I have to talk to the chief first.
The chief? What chief? You're in the middle of a zombie outbreak. You don't have a chief. You've never met the chief. What the fuck is wrong with you? How do you go from a character whose only motivation is to save as many people as possible to this absolute dickhead that wants this man to rot in a cell? What an absolute shitbag. Ben begs to be let out, pleads with Leon that he doesn't.
Hey, to be fair, Leon in OGRE2 sounds fucking angry all the time. He sounds like a piece of shit 9 times out of 10.
To die, and Leon refuses to help. In RE2, Leon finds a reporter named Ben in a
and this
jail
is a good
cell.
scene to
Ada
show
has
that.
been looking for him and asks what he's told city officials about the outbreaks happening in Raccoon. Ben wants to know why she's asking, and Ada mentions that her boyfriend disappeared 6 months ago and heard a rumor that he was in the city. Ben's information is about Umbrella, and that's the company her boyfriend
Trying to
works
jerk
for.
it here, yeah.
I don't know anything. And
And
even if I did, why would I want to tell you?
Okay, I
say
say we
we
leave
leave
him
him
in
in
there.
there.
Does anyone know where they put the key to this cell?
Even when he's annoyed with Ben, Leon is looking to save his life.
I have it right here, officer.
But he's not about to leave this
But I'm
cell.
not about to leave this cell. Those zombies aren't the only things crawling around out there.
But Ben has the key. He doesn't want to leave the cell because he's safe here, hiding from the zombies and Birkin. When they hear Birkin off in the distance, Ben tells them to leave him alone before they draw the monster right to him. Leon says he isn't going anywhere.
Like I said, I'm not leaving this cell.
Get out of here.
Get out of here before you lead it right to me. Hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm the only cop left alive in this building. What? Look, if you want to live, then you're gonna have to leave with me.
Leon isn't leaving Ben here to die. He's getting him out of the city, no matter what Ben may want, no matter if he's going to complain the whole time. Seemingly with a change of heart, Ben tells Leon how to clear them an exit through the sewer, and Leon leaves to secure their escape route. In RA2, Ben doesn't want to be saved. He wants to hide in a cell, but that isn't in Leon's nature. He isn't going to let Ben die here, even if he's being an asshole. Leon is bent on saving him, on saving everyone he comes across.
Thank you, Tat.
His desire to help.
Thank you.
This guy looks at a man begging for his life, pleading for help, and says no. Cosplaying his role as a cop is more important to him than saving someone's life. You know, the only thing RA2's Leon cared about? What a horrific mischaracterization, and what an unlikable character in his own right. Upholding a non-existent chain of command is more important than protecting a civilian. And the thing about this change, about every change that they did in Remake, it's for nothing. In RA2, when Leon returns to the cell block, he hears a scream. Birkin has mortally wounded or tried to infect Ben. Leon runs to the cell, distraught, and pleads with Ben to survive.
Ben! Can you still hear me? Come on, answer! Hang in there, Ben.
Ben dies, asking Leon to make sure Irons pays for his crimes. This death is the motivation for Leon to finally have a real conversation with Ada, to convince her to let him help her, as he can't risk another death. There's no reason.
Yeah, that is good.
Leon could have met Ben and agreed to let him out. He would still need to leave the jail in order to get the items to open the door. Then on his return, Ben could be killed. Oh, because that's another thing. Ben is killed by Mr. X in this one, which spoils his involvement in A's scenario because you haven't met him at the helicopter yet. And for what? Nothing, because he disappears again until his introduction in the upper corridor. And later, when Leon returns to Ben's body, Mr. X is just in the jail now, whereas if he had waited and killed Ben when he was supposed to, it would have introduced him into the scene instead of him just showing up. There's even scary noises happening, and Leon still doesn't want to let Ben out. What an asshole. Like, our hero, everybody. Ben is killed. Leon doesn't seem to care much, but he will take that key card, thanks.
Well, I guess the deal's on.
What a piece of shit. Ada then arrives, and Leon defensively states,
I don't even know what happened. It just happened so quick.
Like he cares more about Ada blaming Ben's death on him than the actual fact that Ben is dead. Leon and Ada then discuss Ben's information while looking at his corpse with comical disinterest. Oh, and what does our hero do next? He grabs Ada and says,
Hey, you can't keep walking away from me!
Like, yeah, she can. Fuck off. And here's the major difference between how RA2's Leon interacts with Ada and how Remake's Leon interacts with Ada. This Leon isn't worried. He's entitled. She's not talking to him, but it's his right to get
entitled piece of shit RE2 Remake Leon.
He didn't say she could leave yet.
They made him a soy boy.
Garage, X chokes Leon and Ada rams a car with explosives into him because it's cool and not because it makes sense. She says,
This is getting old. Saving your ass, that's twice.
In a dog shit reference to the original because this game loves to do that. Reference dialogue from the original game but change the context or result.
And just who are you? No, don't bother telling me. It makes no difference.
What's your name? What's your fucking name?
Claire!
Like I said, I'm not leaving this cell. Look, if you want to live, then you're gonna have to leave with me.
I'll make you a deal. Unlock this cell and I'll give you this. There's no other way out of that parking garage. Believe me.
Sorry, I can't do that. I have to talk to the chief first.
He has to talk to the chief first.
Don't mention it.
This is getting old. Saving your ass, that's twice.
You're the one who was with that cop, if I'm not mistaken. Identify yourself.
Definitely William's handiwork.
Identify yourself.
It happens enough that it has to be intentional, but I don't understand the point. Like, you're keeping the dialogue but completely changing the meaning. It's almost insulting.
The FPS in this game.
Oh yeah, Ada's mean in this one.
Surprised you made it this far.
FBI, huh? What's going on here?
Yeah, Ada's
Sorry,
nice.
that information's classified.
Where are you going?
It's classified too,
Do yourself
Leon.
a favor. Stop asking questions and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the gameplay
Told you
part
to get
yet.
out of here.
It's almost over.
Wouldn't want to end up like Ben, would you? Find a way out, Leon. Before it's too late.
Something tells me we're not going to touch on the gameplay.
Saving your ass, that's twice. We might want to open the shutter.
She's just mean now because she's cool and competent and everyone's just getting in her way. But also, where's Leon when I need him? And please get the virus for me, Mr. Cop. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Is that the intel you needed?
Unfortunately, no. Ben didn't come through.
I know in Remake, Ada's pretending Ben was an informant, but the man just died. And the reason he didn't come through was because your best buddy Leon didn't fucking let him. The devs of Remake really hated Ben for some reason. They let him die in a pretty terrible way, and then gave him a silly death animation with one of his eyeballs coming out of his skull.
Hey,
his tongue hanging
it
out
seems
of
like
his
they
mouth.
did hate
No other
Ben.
character in the game gets a death like this. Ben also, as a character in Remake, contributes nothing to the story. The reason why Ada wants to talk with Ben in the original was because
It is
he
a shame that,
actively
like,
talking
I
with
think
the
Ben contributes a lot to the story in the OG, and yeah, he's sort of just a throwaway character in the remake, just like a small comedy relief with a cool death, or like a death.
outbreaks happening in Raccoon. For those who don't know, there were a bunch of little outbreaks before the major one set off by Birkin. This interests Ada and works with her cover as a civilian. She says she's looking for her missing boyfriend, an employee of Umbrella, but her real goal is getting
Yeah,
the
I love
virus.
Ben's death in the
Finding out
OG.
where these outbreaks came from is a good place to start. Ben doesn't give up this information. What he tells her is about a way out of town through the sewer and old chemical plant. This is how Ada gets the information, which ultimately leads her to the lab. In Remake, Ben doesn't know anything pertinent to Ada. His information is changed and seems to have no purpose but to name-drop Annette. And in Remake, Ada already knows everything. She already knows what the G-Virus is and where to find it. Hell, she already knows who made it. She also already knows where the lab is and how to access it from a sewer located in the city. So why did Ada go to the RPD in the first place? Ada already knows everything in Remake. She doesn't learn anything during the entire course of the game. The only thing the RPD offers her is Leon. The Remake devs were like, yeah, B scenario warps the station and writing a linear story is too hard. But
Yeah,
remember
I mean, okay, we're finally touching on the B scenarios an hour and 16 minutes in, or well, not finally, but we did earlier. But
that guy from the first minute of the game, that gun shop owner who calls Claire babe and then dies. What if we gave him a dead wife? So now we have Kendo.
Yeah, they ruined Kendo.
That guy from the first minute of the game, that gun shop owner who calls Claire babe and then dies. What if we gave him a dead wife? So now we have Kendo, who really adds so much to the game, really.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
Leon just knows that's Kendo's daughter because he has that cop instinct, I guess. And Ada's ready to kill a kid because she's just so cold and professional. But thank God Leon, you know, the kind and empathetic person that he is there to convince her to let them be. What a hero. Kendo hugs his daughter and Leon hilariously steps forward like, this involves me. Call me cold, but I feel nothing but annoyance at this scene. All the characters are so misrepresented and the story is so butchered, but they really thought this guy with 30 seconds of screen time needed a dead wife and kid. It's an artificial emotional moment in place of the real emotion they cut away.
It's one thing to keep the truth.
you know, I sort of agree with that. I didn't give a shit about Remake Kendo. I mean, but you know, I didn't give a shit about Remake Kendo because I love OG Kendo. And I didn't love OG Kendo because of Kendo's Cut, by the way. I've been a Kendo fan since the fucking beginning. Before Kendo's Cut even existed, I always had a fucking hard-on for normal Kendo. And when we got to Remake and they actually gave him a character, like, I get more people are going to like RE2 Remake Kendo than RE2 OG. Because, you know, like she said, you know, he always got a dead wife and his daughter's changing. Like, they tried to make it an emotional thing. They try to make like a 2-minute scene really emotional for Kendo, but I like womanizer, fucking beer belly, shotgun, crossbow. Sorry about that, babe Kendo. Not like, oh, my fucking wife Kendo.
From me? But why him?
What about him? Do you think Kendo knowing that this was caused by Umbrella research or a lab accident or even that Ada's here to put William Birkin to justice is gonna make him feel better? Why would Kendo give a shit? But whatever, nice guilt trip, bro. Oh, and here's a good joke.
Helping people like them? That's why I joined the force.
Oh, like how you helped Ben back there, right, Leon? Ada says,
my mission is to take down Umbrella's entire operation.
Which sounds a little silly, but maybe I'm just jaded at this point. It might even be a reference to the original game, like she put the idea in Leon's head.
Hey, it's up to us to take out Umbrella.
I don't know, I'm finding it hard to care about things right now.
Whatever it takes to save this city.
But like, the city's gone, bro. And aside, you're actively letting its remaining citizens die. Is this the part where I talk about the side?
That was good.
You're actively letting its remaining citizens die.
I can't.
Is this the part where I talk about the voice acting? Because this line literally makes me take my headphones off.
It turns people into indestructible monsters.
That explains the horrible things I've seen.
Why does he say it like that? Sherry's actually the best voice actor in this game, and I actually
dude!
They really like a couple of her lines.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Don't open!
I don't like Claire's voice in this game at all. This weird Valley Girl thing.
I will, but I gotta go.
I like
Claire.
I like the voice
You're
acting
right,
to
Bill.
remake.
No. I'm looking for my brother.
But
He's a cop,
Sherry's
too.
is really fucking
No.
well done.
No. Hello? What? I'm getting you treatment. Just hold on, Sherry. It's okay.
At least her voice actor's trying. I don't know what the fuck Leon's guy is doing.
Holy shit. Get out. What the hell? You said the virus turned people into monsters, not reptiles.
I
What are
like
they
the voice
after?
acting in
That explains the
in
horrible
whole
things
game.
I've seen.
And by the way, like Resident Evil is usually known for horrible voice acting, like almost always. But I think the remake does it really well, and there's a lot of good voice acting in the original for the most part. Yeah, I like the voice acting to remake.
Holy shit!
I think with 2 remake, there's just some lines that are delivered in a really funny way.
What the hell was?
Oh yeah, I like the
Just
voice
get up
acting
here.
way better in the
Alligator
remake.
fight makes no sense. I appreciate them wanting to include it, that's fine. But the fact that Leon jumps, wow, that's hard to say. But the fact that Leon jumps down into the sewer like this,
You sure this is the right way?
when it clearly isn't, because Ada manages to get to the same place as him without jumping into sewage. Like, how funny would it have been to just have Ada say, "No, I don't know why you jumped in there." Here we have another great example of Leon's desire to help people. What does he do the second he finds another living person?
Identify yourself.
Man, shut the fuck up. And it isn't because he thinks she's Annette, because this is his next line.
She's who we're looking for?
Yeah, meeting another survivor gun first and treating everyone you meet like you're a friend. Real hero material, Leon. You're really gonna help people with an attitude like that.
We're here for the G-Virus.
What was even the point of Ada having a cover in the first place if the first thing she does on meeting Annette is tell her she's here for the G-Virus? The only person she's fooling with the idea of a cover is Leon, someone she shouldn't have even known she was going to run into. Why not just, why does she need a cover? I'm really realizing right now that her cover to get the G-Virus is that she's here to get the G-Virus. I knew that they had reduced Ada to not really be her own character and
That's
only
true.
exist in as much as Leon needs her to exist for his story, but I didn't realize how bad it was. The whole point of a cover would be to give her the element of surprise. So the idea that her cover is she's an official here to get the G-Virus already doesn't make sense. But then the first thing she does when she sees Annette is tell her she's here for the G-Virus. So there's no element of surprise, so there's no reason for her to have a cover. Unless, of course, you're only writing this character from the perspective of Leon. And then I guess she would need a cover, wouldn't she? So the only reason Ada goes to the RPD is to meet Leon. And the only reason she has a cover is to fool Leon. At this point in RE2, Ada sees Annette and runs after her. Leon follows and ends up taking a bullet for her. Ada says,
Leon, that woman was... I have to talk to her.
Yeah, exactly. Resident Evil's always been B-movie level plot. I think it's part of the charm of the franchise. Yeah, for sure.
and runs after her. Ada eventually catches up with Annette, and Annette reveals that her boyfriend is dead. They get into a fight, and Annette drops into the sewage below.
Like, the whole reason RE1 is one of my favorite Resident Evils ever is simply because of the terrible voice acting. That is, like, the main thing I love about the game. It's the main reason I love playing the game, and it's why I got attracted to the game when I was a kid. Too bad.
Too bad.
But ultimately, it doesn't matter. Ada isn't here for Annette or Birkin, she's here for the G-Virus. Leon wakes up, and they reconnect. Ada patches him up after Leon begins to show fatigue. This is the scene where Ada begins to feel guilty over Leon's self-imposed sense of duty over her. How even after just being shot, he's still coming after her, still putting her over his own well-being. This is why she says,
That's 2 I owe you.
in one scenario, Claire finds Leon when he's knocked out, and when she manages to wake him up, this is the only thing he has to say.
What happened? You're bleeding.
I ran into this woman who is in trouble. Her name's Ada. Right after that, someone tried to kill me. Nearly succeeded, too. Ada went after the sniper, but I'm worried about her. You gotta find her before something happens.
But you've been shot.
I'll be okay.
Don't worry about me.
It's Ada I'm worried about.
Ada and making sure she's okay is his sole focus. In this scene, Ada is realizing this, how his interest in her well-being goes beyond a job title and deeper to who he is as a person, and how Leon's desire to keep her safe may ultimately end with him getting killed. In Remake, because Ada's a love interest before she's a character, she stops to patch Leon up before going after Annette, even though this makes...
I mean, she's sort of a like, Leon falls in love with Ada in the OG in like 20 minutes.
No sense from Ada's perspective, as it's giving Annette enough time to disappear again.
You can run,
Whether
Annette.
or not it tells you, like, it's not like a brick to the face. I mean, it's pretty apparent.
But you can't hide.
I mean, you gave her plenty of time to, so... But Remake forgot Ada is here to do a job, and none of her motivations at this point should involve Leon, but whatever, I guess, because...
It's secret weapon time.
Remake makes it seem that Ada and Annette have this ongoing feud.
Always been good at running, Annette. Give me that.
When has Annette been running? She's just been working here. They've never met before, and in the original it's unclear if Ada even knows who Annette is. Annette certainly doesn't know who Ada is, and only figures out that she's a spy after doing a background
I never
check
even
on
thought
her.
about that
But in
line.
Remake, Ada knows Annette on sight, and makes sure Annette knows she's here for the virus, because she's a good spy. Remake's storytelling is so atrocious, I don't even know if it makes sense. The scene where Ada is revealed as a spy is just her saying, "I'm a spy." Like, that's the reveal. There are hints in the original game that Ada isn't a civilian, like her fire rate I mentioned earlier, or how she never stays put even while injured, but we never know for sure until Annette reveals who she is at the end of the game. Before that, you can find diary entries talking about spies, and if you played Claire's game first, Annette will accuse her of being one, but Remake just tells you she's a spy 100% halfway through the game. Great. And for what? So she can tell Annette she's a spy here for the G-Virus? If Ada had never told Annette that she was a spy, Annette would have never told Leon she was a spy, and Ada would have the G-Virus. Ada accuses Annette of killing Birkin so she could take credit for the G-Virus, which is hilarious because Annette in RE2 never stops talking about how her husband made the G-Virus, and that's why she's protecting it. In this one, Ada falls and not Annette.
Where's Leon when I need him?
This is something the original Ada would never say. When Ada is attacked by a giant alligator at this point in the original game, she doesn't sit on the ground and wait for Leon to show up. She shoots it. Ada never relied on Leon in the original game because that wouldn't make sense to her character. This is her mission. He isn't a part of that. So when she gets hurt in the original, she gets up as soon as Leon leaves her line of sight and gets back to work.
This is another dig at, like, just the remake not being faithful, where Ada is a slightly different character in the remake as she is in the OG.
The rescue or a hero to lick her wounds because she's on a mission here alone, and if she couldn't complete it alone, she would have already had a partner.
And also, you know, go back to the
But this Ada just
Capcom
lives on the ground
womanizing.
until Leon comes to help her up. Also, look at how they've posed her here. It's so funny. Why is she doing a sexy pose? Here, Leon
we
shows
know
us
why.
the intellectual her here. It's so funny. Why is she doing a sexy pose? Here, Leon shows us the intellectual vetting
Thank you,
process of the
Capcom.
RPD.
It's gonna hurt.
Watch it, King. She might get intimidated. Then he just has rubbing alcohol. Where did that come from? But whatever, I guess we have to establish that Ada won't die from sepsis.
I can do it myself.
Just relax, okay?
But Leon's cleaning out her wound isn't threatening her independence. The writer's not letting Ada do her own job is. Ugh, I hate this guy.
Grab my shoulder.
On your bullet arm? Shut up. God, everything this guy says annoys the shit out of me.
I think I could fit it in my schedule.
God, hating on that Leon is so funny to me just because, like...
Ma'am, I can't wait for the FBI to raid Umbrella headquarters
it's
and take
Leah.
those bastards to justice.
Shut up, boot boy. I don't know why he cares so much about wanting to bring Umbrella to justice when he was so cool with his own boss's corruption earlier, but okay.
I thought I might need your help, and I was right.
What is she talking about? Why on earth would she? Why would she hinge the entire success of her job on some random man she just met? What would she have done if Leon wasn't there? Just give up and go home? Why does the success of her mission rely on this random, unknown encounter? It's so stupid. Ada, you'll never make it as a spy like this.
If I'm gonna finish this case, you're the last hope I've got.
Man, do I even need to talk about why this sucks ass?
Thank you,
Kiss, but
Gabriel.
instead of it coming from a place of genuine feeling, or as much genuine feeling that you can establish over the course of a few hours, it comes from a place of coercion, because Ada just can't do her own job herself for some reason. When Leon and Ada kiss in the original game, it's in a scenario where he doesn't believe she's a spy, and she seemingly dies to save his life. Leon is also a few days out from a breakup, and Ada is dying. I'm going to talk more about this in a bit, but Ada sort of idealizes Leon in the original game, and this kiss is more than Ada saying goodbye to Leon, it's also her saying goodbye to the dream of leaving with him. It may be important to note that Leon never wants to get the G virus in the original game. In fact, unless I'm misremembering, he may be the only character in the game who doesn't learn anything about the virus at all until the very end. His goal is only to help as many people get out of the city as possible.
Yeah, so I'm not commenting on this because I think it's just common sense.
Leon goes to the stupid Birkin lab where no lab work has ever been done, and the virus is just there, no lock or anything. I mean, they went through so much justification for Claire to have the key to open the cabinet, but whatever.
That was easy.
You said it, buddy.
So you made this monster.
We made the G virus, but we never intended
You can
this.
spin it any way you want. You're still responsible.
Like, can he stop being a dickhead for a second?
Just tell me you'll destroy that G
Ah,
sample.
Leon's a piece of shit. You know, until this video, I thought Leon was a piece of shit in the OG. Now, he's a piece of shit in the remake, too.
After seeing everything the virus has done, even claiming he wants to do everything he can to help this city, and helping people like them is why I became a cop, Leon doesn't want to destroy the virus. This is Leon in RE2 after learning what the virus is.
So, this is what everyone's been dying for.
Oh, I also just want to say how dumb this is, because the player isn't left wondering if Ada is a spy or not, because the game already told us that she just is hours ago. Because Remake wants Leon to be a cool guy, they have him saunter out with a whole ass speech prepared.
Oh, yeah.
I was just thinking about you.
So in Remake, it's Leon confronting Ada. In RE2, Leon genuinely wants to believe Ada is a good person. He doesn't pretend otherwise, and when Ada asks him for the virus, he's confused.
I've been waiting for you, Leon.
What are you doing?
You know what this is about, so just hand over the G virus.
I don't believe this.
Annette was
right. About everything.
Remake's Leon claims he never trusted Ada at all, which is just simply not true. Like 2 minutes ago when he picked up the sample, he said,
All right, now back to Ada.
She's a mercenary. She's gonna sell it. The G virus is gonna go to the highest bidder.
All right, now back to Ada.
Bullshit. As much as I wanted to trust you, I didn't.
But the dev team...
The bottom line is, a man like Leon would do anything for a woman like Ada.
Scenario where Leon would be deceived or tricked because he's too cool for that, and look how smart he is.
Even if
but
she
they
shot...
added that. Ada was never supposed to
shot
be
civilians
him
right
in
in
the
front of
first
him.
place. So they desperately wanted to look like Leon was never deceived, but they added the idea that Ada was deceiving him.
This is the first thing that came to my mind. I'm just going to bring politics into it for a second. Just like if Trump was on TV and gunned down a bunch of civilians, I'd say probably like 25% of his voters would still vote for him.
I'm taking you in.
Taking her where, Leon? The station is gone.
And Leon
You're
is
not a
like
real
that with
cop.
Ada.
God, he's too deep in the roleplay. His stupid shit infuriating grin here when Ada...
Similar to In The Boys, the last season finale. Like that.
Shooting gives me enough strength to crush walnuts with my bare hands. Annette shoots Ada and Leon looks sad now for some reason, even though he was threatening to put her in jail 2 seconds ago. Sad he won't meet his arrest quota, I guess. So here's why this whole thing is so
There goes
dumb.
the virus.
In RE2, Leon was kind of bothersome to Ada, someone who was only...
I just said season finale, I didn't say anything about it.
Civilian, and the fact that they keep running into each other. It's easier for her to agree to work together. After she gets hurt, he stays for her, and after he gets hurt, he cares more about her safety than his own bullet wound. This feeling of guilt begins to develop. Leon is only here, only with her, because of his kind nature, and it isn't fair of her, or right of her, to be receiving it. This is why the ending is significant. This is why Ada returns, even when she has the virus. This is why she doesn't shoot him on the bridge. Leon never wanted anything from Ada. He only ever wanted to keep her safe. There's no reason for Ada not to shoot him in Remake. This is, after all, the exact scenario she wanted. She wanted Leon to get the virus for her, which she would
loves
then
Leon,
take.
though.
So why the hesitation? It can't be because he's a cocky, entitled asshole who grabs her and demands things. It can't be this manufactured guilt from Kendo, or this weird romance that comes from nowhere but a place of manipulation. It can't be because of how he treats her.
Look at that face and look at that body.
That's how he's talking to her.
Look at that hair.
So what is Ada's reason to not shoot Leon when this is the exact scenario she made? In RE2's version of this scene, Ada confronts Leon, and it's worth noting that Leon never draws his gun on Ada. He never draws his gun on anyone. In Remake, Leon meets everyone gun first, except for Marvin, a uniformed officer. Not only does this show the strength in his belief that Ada won't shoot him, as well as his disbelief that she's a spy, but it plainly just makes more sense. Why would you risk drawing your gun on someone who already has one trained on you? But I get it. Leon's a cop, and he's never wrong. I get it. Here's Ada in the original as she's telling Leon she never wanted it to end like this.
That's why I told you to leave without me, but you wouldn't listen. Now hand it over. Don't make me shoot you.
Ada never wanted Leon involved with her work. It would only ever end poorly for him. It wouldn't be right. He's a good person who simply wanted to help someone who didn't deserve it. This belief fuels her guilt and ends with her making the decision to put the gun down. Even if it means sacrificing her mission and risking her career, she isn't going to sacrifice him. There are a few conversations in the game that would imply Ada is so touched by Leon's heart and plain desire to do what he thinks is right that she places him on a bit of a pedestal, that she reflects on her own sense of morality and what it means for her future. Leon liked to say they'd get out of Raccoon together, and wouldn't that be nice? A fantasy to live like Leon does? In RE2...
Well, Ada has character growth because of her affection for Leon. It's the same with RE4 Remake, which it shows at the end of the game.
Leon and Ada inspire each other. Leon loses a bit of his naivety and becomes more realistic in the ways he can help people. Ada gains an escape to a reality
Ada can
where
only
she
grow
isn't
if
tied
Leon
to a
is
job
involved.
that she may not even want, where things could be simple and you can make a living by following your heart. In Remake, Leon makes demands and gets in her way, but she keeps him around because otherwise she wouldn't be able to get the virus, because she just intuitively knows that she could never make it to Birkin's lab, but he could. Ada plays him the whole time, so why would I believe she felt anything genuine enough for her to spare his life? This is literally what her plan was. I don't believe Ada wouldn't shoot him, and this smug attitude he has should only make her pull the trigger faster. The reliance on Leon to do her job for her is not only disrespectful to Ada's ability and independence as a character.
She can't let go of the prison scenes. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
I mean, she is so caught up on like the whole... I don't even think it's a big deal. Like, I think she just looked at it too deeply, the Ben scene and the Kendo scene, and then just pitted his whole character on those two moments.
The entire success of her mission to a random cop she's tricking. Unless,
Thank you, Cold
she's
Brew.
so incompetent at her own job, she could never succeed with it in the first place. And Leon saying, I was never tricked anyway, when he totally must have been. Like, you can't have it both ways. In RE2, Ada wouldn't let anything stop her from completing her job, except for the choice she made to help someone who deserved better. In Remake, Ada can't do her own job for some reason, and uses sex appeal to get a man to do it for her.
Can't believe I actually miss her.
God, everything he says makes me... Leon in RE2 is a great character. His only motivation is to help as many people as possible.
Oh my God,
And
this is
subsequently,
so...
he has no idea what's ever
something
going
else.
on. The amount of times he gets a call from Claire or information from another character and is completely blindsided.
Like when she pokes fun at Leon, like that moment, like I agree. Like when he said, when I first, I can't believe I actually missed her. Like, you know, I'm not hating on him at that moment, or I don't think like, oh, this is so annoying, but I'm just like, oh my God.
Funniest parts of the
you
game.
know.
Ada, wait!
Leon, are you still there? We're leaving.
Are you crazy? The streets are still crawling with zombies.
It'll be all right, trust me. We found a way to the sewer. Follow us later.
Claire! Claire! Wait! What? Ada, wait!
Ada.
Where are you going, Ada?
To the chemical plant.
Oh my
I have
God,
a
we're almost
feeling
at the
that's where I'll
end.
find
Look.
John.
Ada, wait! Hey!
We would watch this for an hour and a half, by the way.
Ada! Those zombies are
Ask Matt Chat what? Oh my God. If you guys talk about I mentioned politics for a split second, which I was stating a fucking fact. If you mention politics a single more time, I will ban you.
everywhere. Not to mention that thing that got Ben.
God,
I was
if you
there,
even
Leon.
say any president's name, like people will just their whole fucking life will revolve around. The rest of their day is ruined. Like, how could you people live like that? Shut the fuck up.
I know.
Ada!
Is that you? Where are you?
I can see you on the monitor, but never mind that right now. Leon, you have to go back and get Sherry for me. I left her in the security office. Please, you must
I didn't even
save
see any
her.
comments. There's probably like 2 people.
Wait a second. What are you gonna do? Where are you going?
I still have a few loose ends to take care of. I'm counting on you.
Hello? Claire, are you there? Claire! Security office?
Thank you,
I've been
Apel.
waiting for you,
Thank you.
What are you doing?
Now, where's that spy you were working with earlier? You know who I'm talking about.
What?
You really don't know anything, do you? You're so gullible.
I particularly love this scene at the end of the game where he doesn't know what's going on, but he's very supportive about it.
Claire, what's happening?
Don't compare it to the
Come
remake.
on, Sherry, wake up! Wake up! Please wake up! Claire? Where am I?
It worked!
This Leon has nothing of his original character. There's no humanity here, no desire to help people or cooperate.
I keep showing the prison scene.
In Remake, Leon isn't worried
Oh my
about the
God.
safety of a civilian. He's entitled to her business and information. He's grabbing her
It
and making
worked.
demands and following her around because of reasons of entitlement. He isn't a man with nothing but his good nature, trying to help everyone to the best of his ability. He's a man with nothing but his own entitlement.
I mean, a lot of
He's
the stuff
dickbag
she
who
said is true in this video. Like a lot of it is, but you know, the difference is, guys, you could watch a video and disagree with 90% of it, but still agree with 10. You know. Thank you, Akira. Thank you. There, like a lot of the stuff she said is fucking hilarious and true, and then there's a lot of stuff I just don't agree with at all. But I see where she's coming from. I just don't give a fuck about it.
He's not only
Like the
horrific in
whole
his
like oh, Leon, like Ada shouldn't care for Leon in the remake, because why would she? She's manipulating him the whole time, and he's just comes off as an asshole the whole time. But like you could still fall in love under any kind of like extreme stress like that when your life is in danger. Like typically that shit happens. So it's not like crazy that like, oh, she's not gonna shoot Leon, the person that has helped her the entire game. Like obviously she's a human, or
literally
supposed to be.
Like the writer played the game when it came out in '98 and said, "Yeah, I remember what happens." Annette only cares about science. Leon only cares about being a cop.
Well, Annette only cares about science to drive Sherry's as a character, because Sherry fucking sucks in the original.
Claire only cares about Sherry,
which is good.
Sherry only cares about Claire,
which worked.
Ada only cares about Leon.
That's her character in the whole franchise.
All damn things. Characters like Irons and Ben, well, they're minor characters.
Ben sucks in the remake.
So who cares what they care about? They just die anyway. The changes to these characters are so confusing and deliberate. Leon cares about helping people, so in Remake he doesn't care about helping anyone. Ada is independent, and her job and Leon are purposely separated. Ada in Remake is completely dependent on Leon to complete her job. Annette loves her family and her work.
So she's just talking about like the remake changed characters, and from what the original premise of the character was. And she is citing this as like a major problem, which that's fine. If you want like a 1-to-1 remake, that's fair and valid. Like you're completely changing a character, and that is annoying. But in a game like Resident Evil, it's like the characters and the story are sort of not like the forefront of the franchise. So to change like a character per se isn't the biggest deal in the universe, but she is treating it as it makes the game like horrible.
So in Remake she actively...
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, for people that don't understand the video, that is the take right now.
Her daughter die, and says she never really loved her husband anyway. Irons doesn't care about anyone.
And as I predicted the first 20 minutes of the video, I said that this probably had nothing to do with the actual gameplay and everything to do with the story.
Personally, so in Remake he really cares about Claire personally. Ben wants to stay in his cell, Ben wants out of his cell. Everything seems to be flipped to the opposite, and I can't for the life of me think of why they would do this. These characters all suffer from the removal of any genuine feeling and depth, but the one who suffers from it the most is Leon, because he was only genuine feeling. So here we come to part 4, the appearance of goodwill, but no actual intention. There's a running theme of insincerity in this game. Every interaction feels hollow and pretend, like it's telling you what's supposed to be happening without actually showing you anything. There are dozens of scenes like this in the game, with a sort of groan and annoyance.
See, the only way you could think this way, this is sort of like, this is like the Crobcat video, where she's referencing playing through this game and hyper analyzing every single thing, as opposed to just sitting back, relaxing, and just playing the game and not like pausing and hyper focusing on every little detail and every little cutscene. So this kind of thing, like this hollow conversation, it's like, it's just if you're analyzing everything. Like what I said earlier, I have like 500, 600 hours in this game. And when Marvin was like, oh, I wonder who taught you to do that. Like, I never thought about that at all. But see, this video made 10 minutes of that one scene, and it just went way by me because I don't fucking care. Like, it was one line that was just like, whatever.
Kind of feel
You know
to
what I
them. Like we're going through the motions of a script without any of the final dialogue in place. In fact, it might be every conversation. Every conversation in this remake is slow as fuck and could end several minutes before they do. For some reason, they just drag the conversation on, and if characters just...
Okay, let me be fair. This video could have been half hour long, and it's almost it's an hour and 49 minutes.
Continue to say meaningless things.
I take it you have the key card.
Yeah, and this. I was hoping you could explain what's on it.
Maybe. After I hear it. Let's get out of here.
That's true. Hey.
Like, yeah.
Sure.
No...
Like, yeah, I get it.
Maybe. After I hear it.
Thank you, Red Cord.
Let's get out of here.
Like, yeah, no shit. Ada needs to listen to the tape before she can comment on it. Everything seems to take as long as possible. Take the very beginning of the
But see, remember what I ranted about the most in this whole video? When she brought up the costumes. That's what I was most passionate about. That's what I spent the most time ranting about. And also the mother-daughter, the family aspect of Sherry's life. Those are the two things that I spent the most talking about. And guess what? She didn't spend any fucking time on either of those. And that's where, like, watching a review and absorbing this information and watching like a video of someone else's opinion that differs from yours, that's what it takes. Like, I understand this person is coming at this game from a completely different angle than I am. And so you shouldn't watch videos like this and just let them change your mind. Like, yeah, I never thought of Leon as a piece of shit in this game, but it is funny that, like, you know, that element is there if you look at it from a certain approach. And other stuff. She made some good points in this video. And this video has been fucking hilarious.
It's annoying to watch as a player because we all know how this ends, but it also feels insincere from the characters because there's no way Leon or Claire can possibly believe there's a hospital up and running in Raccoon. This continues with Marvin giving them a knife, and they treat it like he's giving them his plasma.
Can't take him.
Stop. You'll probably need this.
No, I'm not taking that. You're gonna...
Why is taking a knife such a big deal? You think Marvin's in any condition to be Ramboing this shit?
This is good news. We can get you to a hospital.
No, I am not the priority here.
Lieutenant, I'm not just gonna leave you here.
I'm giving you an order, rookie!
Hey, Marvin. We need to get you to a hospital right now. Come on, I've got you.
Go!
Look, we can still make it out of here together.
Hey. Hey, we should probably get you to a hospital.
Oh, forget about me. I can take care of myself.
No. Don't be ridiculous. You're gonna need some help.
Listen, Claire.
Marvin, come on. Let's get you out of here. Let's go.
Save yourself.
Come on. It's bad. We gotta get you to a hospital
Please,
now.
Claire.
I can't just leave you here.
These scenes are so annoying to watch, and they feel insincere from the character. Anyone who genuinely wanted to help Marvin wouldn't be saying, let's get you to a hospital, when there are clearly no hospitals. When Sherry gets sick, Claire doesn't look up the nearest pediatrician's office. She looks for a solution fitting to the situation.
It's another thing of, like, you know, hyperanalyzation.
Just get yourself to safety.
Don't worry about me, Leon. You take care of yourself.
Forget about me. Just go.
Hey, Leon, you're breaking up.
Forget about me. Just get out of here.
Leon? I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Don't worry about me. Just get out of here.
These scenes exist for me to say, look at what good people these are. Look how insistent he is on saving Marvin, even though it's hopeless. Look at how many times they tell each other to worry about themselves and not the other, even though that's a meaningless statement. Let's say Marvin was convinced to come. Okay, Claire, take me to a hospital. Then what? There's no escape plan, no car, no way out of the city, no hospital. Oops. Leon and Claire can never actually help each other in the game, so telling the other person to put themselves before you is meaningless because that's what they're both doing anyway. It's all the appearance of goodwill, but none of the actual intention to act on it. Leon even claims he wants to help people, but actively treats the people he meets like they're criminals who don't deserve his help. RE2 didn't need to constantly tell us the actual intention meaningless, because that's what they're both doing anyway. It's all the appearance of goodwill, but none of the actual intention to act on it. Leon even claims he wants to help people, but actively treats the people he meets like they're criminals who don't deserve his help. RE2 didn't need to constantly tell us, look how great these two are, how selfless. Instead, it would simply show us. Claire finds a child and her immediate priority becomes to help her. She later finds the girl's mother and tries to help her too. Leon finds 2 civilians and tries to bring them out of the city with him and mourns when he can't. All the while helping the other person make it through the police station.
Sorry, there was someone at my
Leon,
door.
come
I was
in.
just watching
I found the girl, and I've cleared the wreckage that was blocking the corridor.
Got it. Do you read me, Claire? We now have access to the back of the parking lot.
Got it.
I'm getting out of here and heading to the sewer. Can you meet me there?
I'm on my way.
We're still reacting, yeah.
Leon, you have to go back and get
I'm
Sherry
shocked
for me.
at the...
I left her in the security office. Please,
We're at the end,
you
guys.
must save her.
No, she does. Like, if you guys haven't watched the full video, she made some great points, like, throughout the video. But she spent the first few minutes, like, praising the game. But yeah, the video is called RE2 Remake is Garbage, and here's why. By the way, it's been fucking really funny. Like, I've loved this video.
I've come to get you out of here. Claire is waiting for you.
These are good people doing their best to help
It's not
others
even
in a dire
clickbait. This person
circumstance.
fucking hates the
A
game.
selfless character doesn't say, forget about me and help yourself. They say, what can I do to help you? There's a big emphasis on teamwork in the original Resident Evil games, and this continues into RE2. Claire and Leon are constantly helping each other throughout the game.
Well, like, no, she doesn't hate everything. I understand where this hate is coming from. She hates that Capcom changed the characters for no reason. Like, there isn't a reason that they made Ada less independent or less she cares way less about her job and way more about Leon. There isn't a reason that they made Annette not give a fuck about William and not give a fuck about Sherry. There isn't a reason that they made Irons, a rapist for some reason. Like, all these things is what she hates about the game. She hates that it's not like an actual like faithful remake for the characters. Now, most people don't like RE2 Remake. If you don't like RE2 Remake, it's because they fucked up the B scenarios. And her take is that, like, screw the B scenarios, screw the gameplay, they fucked up the characters. That's her problem with this game. And that's mainly what she's talking about throughout the whole video. And they did change the characters, and she explains that with facts and evidence of, like, this is how the character was in the original, and this is how they're completely different in the remake. And it's true, like, for the most part. But some things are set up in a way, like the Rapist Irons thing, that is set up so you will care more about Sherry. I explained this earlier. I mean, if you want my take on the video, you get the whole thing on the VODs channel, so.
Through the station and updating the other on newly found routes.
Well, I think the layout of the video is a bit, like, it's her only video on YouTube. So, like, I'm sure she just had like a passionate opinion of the game and just tried to get it out as quick as possible.
Claire is busy making the antidote for Sherry.
I want to see your take on 3, though.
Asks him to move Sherry onto the train.
Let's
There's
get a
such
3
an
remake
emphasis on community and the importance of working together to survive impossible odds that it transcends into the world around our characters. You find diary entries from survivors who came before you, detailing their own struggle to keep people alive. Here's one from RE2 written by one
Hyper-analyzing a game that doesn't care about its story. Exactly.
Cops surviving in the police station. He talks about the large group of people they were trying to protect and the measures taken to secure the station. It covers a few days during which there's an appearance of an unknown creature.
Yeah, she is really funny. I died laughing at this.
And has razor-sharp claws. However, its most distinguishing characteristic is its lance-like tongue. We have tentatively named this creature the Licker. This entry ends with them trying to find a means to fight it. In Remake, this diary is replaced with a short note that reads, to anyone unfortunate enough to be alive, so already missing the entire point of the original entry. If this person thinks being alive is so unfortunate, why leave a note in the first place? It continues with, we call them Lickers, they're blind. This is no longer a diary entry written to add depth to the world and give you a name for a cool monster. It's now just an instruction to the player of a game mechanic. Remake cared so little about having characters survive.
By the way, I vibe with this video so much, and why I'm enjoying it so much is because this is like my oldest brother. He's very critical on some things and very opinionated in this exact kind of way. And I've had so many conversations with him that are right down this ballpark, but I never argue with him though. I'll just sit there and fucking, like, he's ranting about this shit and like, cool, dude. Like, okay. So I see a lot of,
even wrote it out from the people who
my
came
oldest
to the
brother in
station
this
before
video.
Claire and Leon did. In fact, helping each other is such an important part of the original game that there's an entire system based around it. The zapping system in RE2 references how a character in A scenario can do something that will help or hurt the character in B scenario.
I like how she's finally touching on the topic that people actually hate, and there's 4 minutes left of this 2-hour video.
This bit of wire can be used to close the shutters in one of 2 areas. This cord can't help you out personally, but it may make B scenario a little easier. The armory is stocked with goods, but whatever you take in A won't be available to the
So
person
this
in
stuff,
B.
so people hated that this wasn't in the remake. And I don't hate that this specifically wasn't in the remake. It should have been more fleshed out, where in the OG it's just like, it doesn't matter. You take the pack, you take the thing, you close the shutter, whatever. It doesn't really matter too much, but it's there and it's cool and people like it. It's new, it's cool shit, and it increases the replayability, and that's awesome. So they should have rolled with that and then added more on top of it, or changed and altered things, or made it like you have 4 scenarios in this game. Change up everything, make everything affect everything else. Like make the replayability sky high.
For a character to be seen as selfless or even just good, you have to actually show that in their interactions with the world. Leon saying, "Forget about me and save yourself," is meaningless when he meets everyone in the world gun first and actively lets them die without even trying to help them. It gives off the reverse impression and makes him come across as insincere and annoying. He proclaims selflessness, but never...
She is telling the truth here. But with the Ben scene, it's not like he has him at gunpoint. He is just this naive, like, you know... Leon's sort of derpy, and he's like, I have to talk to the chief first, even though it's like, you idiot, obviously the chief is either dead or fucked. Like, why do you need to talk to the chief first? But it's Leon, you know, like, what? Like, of course, he's just some stupid rookie, and she's ignoring that side of Leon and just angry that he's like saying these stupid things. She's angry at him for being this stupid idiot.
Actually enacts it. Leon has all these moments of saying righteous things, and he has everyone's best intention at heart, really, but when given multiple instances putting that to the test, she never actually
She's so mad
does.
he's hot.
So every further interaction of him making these claims reads as disingenuous and deceptive. There's so little story in this remake, working off the mere scraps of the original, that I don't think it even makes cohesive sense. The cutscenes are either dull and moronic, nothing but fluff filling airtime, or mischaracterized and infuriating. There are so many changes made to the story and characters that are done for no reason. Thoughtless cuts and additions that serve no purpose but to further dilute the actual story they were drawing from. None of these characters seem to care about anything outside of their one designated role, mouthpieces to look nice and little else, who don't interact with the world around them in any meaningful way but are sure to be smiling the whole time. RE2
and it shows the worst smile in the game.
Its depth in characters and storytelling secure that. There's an emphasis on teamwork and the ethical need to help the people who need it most. It's unique and fun and still holds up 20 years after its release.
Sure.
None of the values RE2 had made it into the remake. RE2 was my first Resident Evil game, and I've always loved it, but I never realized just how good it was until the remake came out and made me look at it again with fresh eyes. I play this game semi-regularly, but I haven't watched the cutscenes since I was 13, and rediscovering these characters again was a lot of fun. But it also makes me so unbelievably sad that this is what people will think of when they talk about RE2. It doesn't even have remake in the title. This effect is already noticeable. The few times I consulted the RE wiki to refresh my memory, I found it nearly useless because all the timeline information has already been adapted to the remake. Leon and Claire met at a gas station. No, they didn't. That's just what happens in the remake. The truck driver gets bit at a gas station. Leon and Claire meet outside a diner, which, by the way, is a much better video game area. I love diners in games. That was the best part. Wait, I should preface this joke.
Things to say that will always start a fight.
The diner was the best part of Alan Wake. At the time I'm making this, RE3's remake has already been out
She
for
means
a few
Alan Wake
months,
1.
And considering how disappointed I was in this one,
Look at these
I already knew
dodges.
I wasn't going to buy it.
She stole my footage.
That, coupled with the fact that it was coming out only a year after Remake did, was further proof of cutting corners.
Well, you really have to appreciate, she clearly has a ton of passion, and I haven't ragged on this chick the entire fucking video, by the way. I understand completely where she's coming from. I get it. These like two things can be true at once. Like what she's saying, like all the stuff she's saying is true true to a degree, but it's just how you approach the story and how you want to interpret the things that are presented to you. And she is interpreting it the way she wants, like, you know, with Claire being this useless, like, woman that just gets beat around by the rapist freaking Irons, yada, 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 yada. Like, it's all whatever. But I really can respect the passion she has for the OG and the, like, I'm the same way about 3 Remake. Like, but I still like 3 Remake. But, like, I feel the same way of, like, the passion I have. But that's not a fair comparison, because 3 Remake was a butchery of 3 Original. This was just a remake for 2 was just a reimagining of the original. They didn't, like, completely take away massive parts of the game. They just changed, like, subsections of each character.
To avoid all spoilers about the game, but considering how much I hated this remake as overwhelmingly well reviewed as it is, and the third game's remake doesn't even have that to claim, I can't imagine I'll ever play it or care enough to look it up.
You gotta play it.
I can't say Remake is a terrible game, because it isn't. Although I think this remake is shit, I can see why some people wouldn't. It does so many of the harder aspects of adaptation right. Redesigning the RPD is hard, working out the mechanics of Mr. X is hard, and these things are done so well, it makes the parts of this game that should have been easy to adapt, the parts that were already done for them, being handled so poorly, all the more disappointing.
That's
Seeing
true.
Something so misinterpreted,
and I talk about that all the time.
Remake could have been great. It could have been a masterpiece, and that's what's so bad about it. That even with the things Remake did well, I saw so little of what I loved in the original game. But the game simply isn't a remake. The closest this game gets to being a remake of Resident Evil 2 is that her name's Claire and his name's Leon and something 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 G-Virus. If they had released this game under a different name, I wouldn't have given a shit. But it's fundamentally not a remake. It doesn't have any of the things that would make it a remake. How can something be a remake when it doesn't include anything from the original? Much like its characters, RE2 2019 has all the appearance of a remake, but none of the depth. I'm going to keep playing RE2 for the rest of my life, but downloading Remake again, even just to capture footage for this, was a chore. One I'm not looking to repeat. Hey, also, can anyone explain this ending to me? Because I still don't understand it. Leon, Claire, and Sherry...
Wait, she said something I was going to touch on. 1 sec.
It could have been a masterpiece, and that's what's so bad about it.
You know what's funny? I can rant for 2 hours as well about why this could have been a masterpiece, but I would have not brought up like I said, I still respect what she said, and I understand exactly what she said. I just never... The things she brought up never dawned on me, and now that they are dawned on me, now that she has brought it to light, they're aspects of the game I don't care about. So, but I could say things that would have made this game a masterpiece too, but it has nothing to do with the characters of the story, and it's everything to do with the gameplay and the B scenarios.
Even with the things Remake did well, I saw so little of what I love gets to be something.
And the costumes.
If they had released this game under a different name, I wouldn't have given a shit. But it's
I think this is like a borderline masterpiece as well. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, survival horror game ever made. But the thing is, RE2 OG is so fucking good. All they needed to do, if they wanted a minimum 9 out of 10 game, just copy paste. Make it better graphics, and the rest copy paste. They could have kept all the same writing, all the same characters. Like she said, talk about like changing the characters. They could have kept everything the exact same, upped the graphics, and it would have been a 9 out of 10 minimum. What the thing that would bring this, like, it's already one of the best games ever, okay? You could criticize something amazing. To make a good remake, Capcom has not made the perfect remake yet. I think RE1 Remake is the closest to it. A perfect masterpiece RE2 would include the 2B scenarios, vastly different than the A scenarios. Claire and Leon would have fought completely different bosses, and it would have been a coherent story where Claire goes first and Birkin breaks that railing and you fight him in the steam room, and then when Leon gets there, that carnage is already done and Leon has a different boss fight somewhere else. That's completely separate. And the B scenarios, same fucking thing. Every single scenario has all different fights and all different areas that you go through and all different key items that you use, and each character gets to talk to each other character. Where in the Claire scenario, Claire gets to talk to Irons and Sherry. Well, guess what? In Leon B, he gets to talk to Sherry and Irons, and he leads Sherry throughout the whole game, and Sherry doesn't look up to Claire as a mother figure. Sherry looks up to Leon as a father figure, or maybe maybe Sherry dies or whatever else. Something new happens in Leon's B scenario. And in Claire B, Claire meets Ada. But instead we have 4 scenarios that are 90% the exact same as one another, when we should have, if you want to do a proper remake, since RE2 OG separates those scenarios more so to the first point I made where they're quite different, they should be even more different, because a remake should take the best elements, keep them the best, and add to them, add more stuff to the things that are lacking, like the zapping system, add more to that. But it takes away. If you have to take away good stuff to add more good stuff, like, you should be able to keep everything amazing and add more amazing stuff. And RE2 Remake did not do that. But that shows so much respect to RE2 OG and how good and perfect of a game that is, because it didn't even do the game justice, and it's still one of the best games ever made, and it's still arguably the best survival horror game ever made, and it didn't even do the OG justice. It didn't even do that bare minimum justice. And I know a lot of you are thinking right now, like, man, you hate the game, what the fuck? No. I think it's God tier. It's just, it factually, objective fact, it didn't do the OG justice. It didn't. It cut the B scenarios, and it cut a lot of the content that they held. Not only that, there's no spiders, moths, crows, yada, yada, yada. I digress, though. It's so good, but it could have been way better.
Mentally not a remake.
And that's
it
my
doesn't
take.
have any of the things that would make it a remake. How can something be a remake when it doesn't include anything from the original?
Yeah, it's
Much
a
like
shame
its
that
characters,
RE2 original is
RE2
so easy, Fillmore.
2019
It's
has
true.
all the appearance of a remake, but none of the depth. I'm going to keep playing RE2 for the rest of my life, but downloading Remake again, even just to capture footage for this, was a chore. One I'm not looking to repeat. Hey, also, can anyone explain this ending to me? Because I still don't understand it. Leon, Claire, and Sherry see a truck on the horizon. This is so scary, apparently, that only a man can handle it, and so Claire and
Here
Sherry
we go
hide.
again.
The truck passes, and the driver gives Leon the middle finger. The truck leaves, Leon says that was weird, and they continue walking. I don't understand this. Please tell me this is a reference to something. Is this a character from one of the offshoot games I never played? Is it a reference to one of the books?
No, it's just
Or
a
is it
bad
just an
ending.
attempt at humor? Like, yeah, that guy was a dick, but the joke's on him because he's driving to Raccoon and that place is fucked. I don't get it.
I really don't like the RE2 Remake ending. All right, well, if you wanna, do not be mean in the comments. If you are
What
mean,
makes a
if
good
I
remake is a
recognize your
hard
fucking
question to
username in the
answer.
comments and you are mean to this person, if I ever link a YouTube video I reacted to, just be respectful for the love of God. Don't go in there and be like, shut up. Just say, like, bring up a point and bring up a counterpoint, whatever, or be respectful. But here's the video. If you want to give it a like or you want to sub to the channel, whatever, that's her only video ever. I'll give it a like. Look, see? Rory to Remake is garbage, and here's why. Give it a big old like. I would sub, but I think it's their only video. It is. There it is, guys. RE2 Remake 2019 is a garbage remake, and telling you why will only take 2 hours. I hope with pressing publish to never think about this game again. Joins YouTube 2020, releases a good take on what RE2 Remake did wrong, leaves. She must have really hated the adaptation. Yeah, hey, I watched the whole thing. Amazing detailed review. Yeah, you know, no, I'm not down voting this. I thought this was a good video. Like, it takes a lot of fucking courage to call a 9 out of, like, a borderline masterpiece a garbage game. And the points that she made were good. But, yeah, it's obviously not. This person is not saying it's, like, objectively bad. They're just saying it's very, like, let me summarize the video for those who missed it. They completely changed all the characters, completely, and with no real reason. And that's for the most part, that's why she hates this game, for the most part. But yeah, this was a really fun video. And you know what? Despite whether or not your opinions align with hers, she had some fucking funny shit to say. I thought this video was hilarious. Now, I don't know if she meant to be funny, but man, I was fucking dying at a lot of this. It was so good. The microaggression with Marvin. Oh man. Yeah, this is a great video though. Thank you guys for watching, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube, the video will be in the details. Yeah, this was sick. Oh man. make some great points, but comes across as nitpicky. Yeah. I mean, but hey, I do the same shit. That's why I can relate. Like, I nitpick. Like, when I first made my review for RE3 Remake, I look back at that review and I'm like sad from it because there's a lot of people that commented and watched it and stuff and bring it up to this day. But really, I didn't get my opinion out at all. I just talked about the costumes because I made it like 2 days into the RE3 Remake. And at that time, I was only mad that they didn't include any costumes because it's just like, you don't include half the game and then you cut the costumes too. It's like, where are the costumes at? But yeah, I am Bachman Gold today. Now I'm going to play a game now, I think. This was really fun though, guys. Again, if you want to, give it a like, said the chat. I don't think this person will ever make another YouTube video in their life, probably, but yeah, playing games. I'm sorry. Play RE2 Remake? Nah, I'm going to play... I've had enough RE2 Remake right now. I'm in love with this girl. Yeah, we would get along so well. Someone that fucking hates... someone that is very, very, very passionate about topics of a video game that I don't give a flying fuck about. But I know enough about them to comment back and give my own opinion. Like, if I made a 2-hour video about the things I dislike about RE2 Remake, I wouldn't have mentioned a goddamn single thing she talked about. Because I don't really overly care about how the characters or story are handled for the most part. Just, it depends. But yeah, that was a great video though.